their vehicles to discuss what had happened.
Marietta Police spokesman Chuck McPhillamy says tragically one of the truck drivers was then hit by a passing vehicle.
That motorist did not stop. We are still working to determine their identity.
And investigators are hoping footage from DOT cameras can help identify that driver. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Again, we are expecting new information at 1 o'clock, so check back for updates. Mostly cloudy, some heavy rain, and a few thunderstorms throughout the day this afternoon and evening, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Afternoon high right there around 88. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. In Tennessee, a mother, father, and child killed when a tree fell on their car during heavy rain and flooding. A spokesperson with the Hamilton County Office of Emergency Management saying that the three were killed early this morning when saturated ground caused that large tree to fall. It was in the Chattanooga suburb of East Ridge. Flood watches in central and eastern Tennessee are in effect through tonight. This is new at noon. Two accused killers of a Clark Atlanta University co-ed are in a Fulton County courtroom right now for a motions hearing today. And WSB's Veronica Waters is joining us live from that courthouse with more.
Yes, Sabrina, Jordan Jones and Barron Brantley are charged with the malice murder of Alexis Crawford less than a week after Crawford filed a police report accusing Brantley of sexual assault in October 2019. Police said a rape kit was positive for his semen. The pair, who were a couple at the time, are accused of strangling the 21-year-old after a confrontation in the girl's apartment, then putting her in a trash bag and dumping her body in a plastic bin in a park. Much of the morning's testimonies focused on an effort to qualify an expert on strangulation. Fulton County prosecutors say the timeline of how long it takes to kill a person this way will prove malice and intent, and that Crawford's death was no accident. Reporting live at the Fulton County Courthouse, Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
A gruesome cold case murder solved in Fulton County. The Fulton County District Attorney saying nearly 18 years after 24-year-old Nicole Alston's body was found in a burning bag in Troup County, an arrest has now been made. Her former girlfriend, Angel Marie Thompson, charged with murder and identity theft. Investigators saying Thompson started using Alston's identity to collect Social Security benefits, food stamps, and even Section 8 housing. It went on for 8 years. Thompson behind bars this afternoon with no bond. Local advocates are demanding the city of Atlanta move ahead with a plan to withdraw Fulton County inmates from the city's detention center. It's a story that's all new here at noon.
In 2022, the city signed an agreement with the county to give them access to 700 beds at the Atlanta City Detention Center to reduce overcrowding at the Rice Street Jail. With that agreement expiring next November, community organizer Devin Barrington Ward is calling for the city to start planning to move inmates out.
A $2 billion jail will not cure addiction, house families, or prevent death in custody. Housing, treatment, stabilization, and work opportunities are the only way that will.
They're calling for the facility to be turned into a community center. In Atlanta, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
All right, this just in. A Douglas County correctional officer has been arrested on sexual assault charges. Officer Christian Nicholas Joe charged after a tip came in regarding an alleged sexual assault against a female inmate. He had only been on the job for 37 days. He's behind bars this noon, no bond. Following the CDC shooting, one Metro Atlanta law enforcement agency is reminding the public what to do in an active shooter situation. Douglasville Police Chief Gary Sparks says always remember three main things.
So you have to run, you got to hide, and then ultimately you got to fight for your life.
He says check with your workplace to make sure that they have an active shooter plan in place, and those that need help building a plan are urged to reach out to their local police department or sheriff's office. It follows last week's shooting outside that CDC headquarters in DeKalb County. President Trump's call with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders is now over. The call coming 2 days before Trump is scheduled to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ukraine's President Zelensky, in a news briefing following that call this morning through an interpreter, expressed what he hopes comes from Friday's meeting.
We really hope that the ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, will be one main issue during this meeting.
And President Trump and Putin meet Friday in Alaska. We, of course, will be following that for you. A monthly survey from the Census Bureau shows that the immigrant population in the U.S. has dropped by 2 million people in the first 6 months of the year. If accurate, that would be the largest drop in 3 decades. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow's up 324 at 44,783. NASDAQ also in positive territory. So is the S&P. Now let's get a check of your roads. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Picking up some brake lights on the west side. Inner loop leading the airport. Sabrina, 285 northbound. Highway 166 Langford Parkway. I think they're doing some pothole repair in a couple of right lanes. So until they get that patched up, it will cause a slow zone. 85 northbound through Norcross. Also seeing some delays passing Jimmy Carter Boulevard exit 99. And then for Forsyth County, you got that right lane construction, Georgia 400 southbound, just south of Highway 141, exit number 13. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Your 5-day forecast is sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
Partly to mostly cloudy through this afternoon, heating up to a high of 88, but scattered rain showers and thunderstorms will develop just in time for the ride home this afternoon and evening. Some of the storms will linger through the late night hours, lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with a high of 90 degrees. Friday, partly cloudy with an isolated pop-up storm, high 92. Saturday and Sunday, partly cloudy skies, morning lows in the low 70s, daytime highs in the low 90s.
All right, we have cloudy skies right now in Midtown Atlanta, 81 degrees on Peachtree Street. We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Greetings, conversationalists across the fruited plain. It is Eric Erickson here, and I am delighted to be with you. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, let's get straight into the Democratic racism. The soft bigotry of low expectations. I think that's a Daniel Patrick Moynihan quote. I can't remember who said it, but I think it was Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He was a U.S. senator from New York who was a Democrat, conservative. He was an interesting, very thoughtful guy about social policy and the breakdown of the family. I think at this point we need to say this. White progressives expect that black families want to live in crime-infested hellholes. That's why they're not interested in doing anything. I think there's a latent racism among a lot of progressives. And, you know, when a conservative black person comes forward and denounces it, they're called an Uncle Tom, among other things, by black progressives. What do we call the black progressives? They're like the apologists for Stalin at this point. You've got a breakdown in the family across the country, not just in black neighborhoods across the country, but particularly plaguing poorer black families in the inner city. And the left can't acknowledge it. They scream racism loudly so we can't talk about it, in large part because it's a failure of progressive policies that have gotten us to this point. And they would rather scream racism than deal with the fallout of their policies and the progressive politicians in charge to implement the policies in those cities that continue to fail. Every single one of us has a section of a city where we live near that we know you can't go at night and some during the day. And to the progressive left in America, they want to live like that. This is a conversation for them, not us. Notice how they do that. It's a conversation for them, not us. And then they tell you there is no crime. I want to play for you two clips. The first clip is Peter Baker, who is the progressive reporter of the New York Times. His wife, Susan Glasser. Boy, they hate Donald Trump. Peter Baker the other day had the audacity to say that the biggest crime event in Washington, D.C. was January 6th. Actually, Mr. Baker, the biggest crime event in Washington, D.C. was the George Floyd riots that did much more damage to property, businesses, and individuals than what happened on January 6th. If you want to be real about it and take the data, there was more damage done during the George Floyd riots than on January 6th. And I'm not saying January 6th is good. But these white progressives can obsess about it because they don't even want to see the black violence. They pretend there is none because they would have to deal with the fallout of their policies if they addressed it. This is Peter Baker, and I want you to pay very close attention to what he says.
You know, military troops in the streets of a capital, the kind of thing you see in other countries, in autocratic countries, but autocratic leaders who are trying to assert control and power. If you really cared about crime in the District of Columbia, where crime is actually down historically, if you actually cared about crime in America, there are cities with worse crime rates than Washington, D.C. He's not sending troops into their streets. He's sending troops into the streets of the nation's capital, which has a special resonance. The idea that troops would be patrolling in any way, a nation's capital sends a message that we've never, seen again in this country outside of, riots and genuine uprisings that we don't see right now. Crime is at a low. As anybody who has grown up in the Washington area, as I did, I was born and raised in the Washington area, spent my whole life there, and it's never. We know what a crime crisis looks like. We've lived through that. This is not what that looks like.
Peter Baker, notice he says Washington area. Washington area. Peter Baker doesn't live in Washington, D.C. He lives in Falls Church, Virginia. Falls Church, Virginia is in Virginia, where they have engaged local law enforcement. Peter Baker does not live in Washington, D.C., and yet he wants to say he does. Peter Baker doesn't live anywhere near the crime in Washington, D.C. He has a car service that takes him to the Capitol or the White House when he needs it. He's not driving himself. He's nowhere near there. A good white progressive. And notice he also tries to use the optics of the Washington, D.C. You do understand that the president is sending the troops and taking over the police in Washington because it's a federal territory. It's under the control of the federal government, not actually a state. So Peter Baker wants to make it a big negative deal. It's actually literally the only place in the country the president can do what he's doing, and he's doing it as an example to show what happens when you get serious about cracking down on crime. So not only has he just misrepresented the entirety of what's happening to the MSNBC audience, as he does to his readers in the New York Times, he's also obfuscating. He's not really lying per se, but essentially he is by suggesting he lives there and there's no crime problem. He doesn't actually live where the crime is in Washington, D.C. He doesn't live in Washington, D.C. So let's go from Peter Baker now to a black reporter at MSNBC who actually lives inside Washington, D.C., and unlike Peter Baker, actually lives in Washington and experiences the crime.
And I live in Washington. This is personal for me. Many people are frustrated with crime that we see, particularly committed by juveniles in the city of Washington. People are frustrated, Willie, that when they go to CVS to buy deodorant, that they have to get it from behind locked plexiglass, right? But the response here, and let me say this, right? These are not just random anecdotes. What we see in Washington Post polling, among others, is that roughly half of D.C. residents, mostly half of D.C. residents, view this as a serious problem or an extremely serious problem.
Half of D.C. residents, a serious problem or an extremely serious problem. Peter Baker claims to live there. He doesn't. He doesn't live in Washington, D.C. Anthony Coley, that's the name of the reporter there, he does, and he says it's frustrating. Joe Scarborough this morning, I don't have the clip readily available, but Joe Scarborough this morning read a text message from a friend who is very liberal, who is struggling to care that the president is taking over the law enforcement in Washington because of how bad it is. The outrage from the leadership in Washington, D.C. is far more muted than the national Democrats. And yet the progressive left insists there's no problem. Because if the progressive left realized, recognized, or admitted there was a problem, they'd have to account for how it was their policies that caused it. You don't want to know how their policies caused it? Well, the D.C. City Council has passed a series of laws that have escalated the violence. Who are the leading causes of violence in D.C.? It's actually youths. It's 15 and 16-year-olds. Why? Well, Jeanine Pirro went on Fox News this morning and explained it.
Gotcha. Let me just show our audience what you're trying to get the D.C. Council to do. You want them to repeal the Youth Rehabilitation Act, the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act, and the Second Chance Amendment Act. I read through this, Jeanine. You're basically trying to eliminate the reductions in sentencing for serious crimes especially, and also to get away from hiding the record from those in the future who would look back on the crimes for which they were convicted.
Yeah.
Do I have that right? And if I do,
totally
how would that change crime in Washington?
Well, what it would do is it would make people accountable, number one, and we're also looking to lower the age of criminals. What's happening is, even if you shoot someone with a gun, you go to family court where the purpose is rehabilitation. You get to go to an ice cream social, and you get to go to yoga classes. That's nonsense, and that's not what we need in the nation's capital, and that's not why the president put me here. The president wants to make the Capitol safe and beautiful, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And the only way to do do that is to change the laws that have protected young children who are committing adult crimes. And all of these statutes that they've passed don't allow me to incarcerate. They allow the removal or the erasure of convictions. How fair is that to a parent who wants to find out whether or not a nanny is someone who's been convicted of a prior assault? How fair is that to an employer who doesn't get to understand or know who he's hiring? Everything about the D.C. Council and the laws that they've passed are liberal, they're defense-leaning, and they're not in favor of the citizens of D.C. And that's what President Trump is fighting, and that's what we're going to change.
Can I just say one thing? I was never really a fan of Judge Jeanine on Fox News. She always seemed to be playing a caricature. My gosh, she is with it and together here. She clearly knows her stuff. She is right where she needs to be in history. She really is. I mean, she knows the data. She knows the understanding. This is her background. This is her wheelhouse. People looked at her as a talking head on Fox News and like, who is this lady? This is actually, she was a judge. She knows what she's doing. She's the perfect fit for this job. What do you if an Uncle Tom is a black person who is conservative and supports Republicans, what do you call the black politicians who support the white progressives who have overseen and been complicit in destroying their cities? What do you call them? Because you have these black sycophants who go on television, on MSNBC in particular, and insist that it's racist for Donald Trump to care about the black residents of their cities. Here's the ultimate problem, is that progressives care about classes of people. So progressives care about the BIPOC people. They care about the African-American community. They don't care about the black family. They care about the people of color. They don't care about the particular black family living in Anacostia serenaded by bullets at night. They care about the native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, but they don't care about the Hawaiian native who's moved to Oakland, California and fears for his daughter's life at night. They care about the Asian American community, but they don't care about the Asian American shop owner in Chinatown who's regularly shoplifted from. They don't care about the individuals. They care about the classes of people. And according to the left, they've been indoctrinated in critical theory. Classes of people are victims of white people. So if you're a victim of a black person, you're not really a victim. And that's how polluted critical thinking has broken the brain to these people. You notice how the right has moved on from talking about critical theory, but it is so woven into the thinking of people on the left that they can't understand that a black family does not choose to live in a crime-infested hellhole. That's the decision of the progressive politicians who allowed it to happen. And they want better for themselves and their children. And it is real racism among the good white progressives of America to think that black people choose to live like this. And that they don't say it publicly, but you and I know damn well that people like Peter Baker, who doesn't see the crime and insists the crime isn't bad, he's not going to go through the southeast side of Washington, D.C. and deal with it and try to figure out what the problem is. Instead, he's going to say, well, I mean, they obviously want to live there. Why is Donald Trump doing something? And by the way, I have to say, while I'm throwing everything at them, I do need to point out that last night in Georgetown in Washington, D.C., the FBI went on parade, a show of force in Georgetown. Friends, the president intends to crack down on crime in Washington. It would behoove the FBI to go to the southeast part of Washington. There's not a crime wave in Georgetown. The carjackings are far from Georgetown. The murders are far from Georgetown. That's where the good white progressives live, so they don't have to see the crime. Go where the crime is. The mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, was on CNN. Listen to this nonsense.
Black women mayors have been the subject of lots of attacks. I think Karen Bass, from really the moment President Trump came to office in L.A., is someone who's had to deal with that back and forth. He likes to pick fights. I think he sees the situation where there's that distinction. And by the way, this is one of the best fights to pick. Because what I have to sit in front of you and say is, yes, there are homicides in my city. Yes, there is crime, but we don't think the same prescription of help is necessary. It's a tough position, but I think, frankly, this is the situation we're in, and he's not really interested in trying to save lives for us, but just exploiting the political issue.
Yeah, you see, he's exploiting a political issue. He doesn't really care. Let me tell you about Kansas City, Missouri. They have a nonprofit grocery store that's going out of business because the thieves in the area have stolen so much produce. It was a for-profit enterprise but the area was so crime-ridden, the grocery store was going to close, and the closest grocery store is 2 to 3 miles away. So the city took it over and turned it into a nonprofit. It's in one of the most crime-infested parts of Kansas City, Missouri, and they can't keep the store open because of all the shoplifting from the nonprofit grocery store. So it's going out of business. The people are going to be hungry because of the progressive politicians who claim Donald Trump's not trying to help when they're clearly not trying to help. The fact of the matter is progressives are subtly racist. They think black people, Hispanic people, poor people choose to live in crime-infested slums. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations. By the way, someone corrected me. It was Michael Gerson who came up with that, the soft bigotry of low expectations. And they have low expectations, the left does, for these people to elevate themselves out of poverty and elevate themselves out of crime-infested neighborhoods. And when Donald Trump comes along and cries that we should have better lives for these people and they should live in safety, what does the left do? They scream racism. Why? Because it's the only thing they know they can do so they can avoid making eye contact with the problems their policies and their politicians created.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Crash pushed out of the roadway on the east side inner loop, 285 southbound, Memorial Drive, exit 41. West side inner loop is in recovery mode, 285 northbound from Camp Creek Parkway up to Cascade Road, exit number 7. They wrapped up some pothole repair in all lanes there. They briefly had to hold all lanes. Once again, though, everything is back open. And construction 400 southbound and Forsyth at Highway 141 in the left lane. Traffic brought to you by Active Pest Control. Enjoy a pest-free home with Active Pest Control's Pest-Free 365 service. For your free no-obligation quote, call or visit ActivePestControl.com today. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
It's the only way to do any kind of reform of the federal government.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
I don't remember it.
Eric Von Hessler. Today at 3.
Who are you speaking for?
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. I get a checkup every year, and last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, level with your providers if you think you have a problem. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is extending their core body scan offer for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response, they've opened up more times in both offices. But appointments will fill up fast for this offer, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now, while you still have options.
Men, we spend our whole lives asking the question, do I measure up? We're in an endless struggle to be reassured that we do. If you're like me, you've discovered by now that no amount of achievements or recognition ever quiets the nagging question. I want to invite you to discover what I've found, that only in a relationship with God through Jesus Christ can that question find a satisfactory affirmation. In Him, you do and will measure up. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net.
Welcome to Window Wisdom with North Georgia Replacement Windows. We are here with the owners and experts, Ted Kirk and Jonathan Cullum. Tell me, Ted, why do you think buying new windows and doors can be so confusing and a difficult process for people?
We've been asking ourselves that question for years. That's why we make window and door shopping simple. Most companies offer vinyl windows disguised by terms like composite and PVC. They do this because vinyl windows do not hold up in our harsh Georgia climate. Their windows just can't compete with the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows, so they just confuse people by saying things like vinyl composite when it's just another vinyl window.
So obviously you do not recommend any type of vinyl window. Can you share a better option with us?
Well, Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows are beautiful, not big and bulky like vinyl composite windows. The fiberglass will hold up to the weather and won't lose their energy efficiency over time. Infinity fiberglass windows are 8 times stronger and expand 87% less than vinyl composite windows.
So Ted, tell me what's the big difference? What can I expect when I install a better quality window like Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows?
You will brighten your home with more daylight and bigger views. Our windows also improve your home's energy efficiency, your family's comfort, and the curb appeal. We've had many customers use us on multiple homes because of their experience and for the strong resale value.
Okay, all this sounds really good. So where can we check out the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass products?
You can only experience the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass difference with North Georgia replacement windows at your home or in our Alpharetta showroom.
It's time for back to school savings at North Georgia Replacement Windows. Enjoy 18% off your project plus up to 18 months, no interest, no payment financing. Visit ngwindows.com for all the details.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. All the information without the spin. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Hello there. It is Erick Erickson here. Somebody called and said, I asked what is the, if a conservative black person can be maligned as a Uncle Tom, what do we call the black progressive politicians who make excuses for the white progressives who are destroying black communities? We had a caller call in and said, Uncle Karens. I think that may actually be the official phrasing because you got a lot of them out there. Here is Al Sharpton, naturally.
Every means that is available to them within the law by going into courts and enjoining and making the federal government prove the necessity to go in when the data is against what the president is saying. They should go into the federal courts. They should also have vibrant protest movements in these cities. This is how we dealt with Stop and Frisk in New York. There are many cities in between Washington and Chicago, Washington and Oakland. He only chose the black ones. So it is clear what he's trying to do. He's trying to race bait. His own base is very concerned about Epstein. So what do? You go throw your base red meat. Let's go back into race thing. All the blacks are breaking the crime, breaking the law. We need to go in. It's race baiting. And I think that what he has done is disgraceful, and it puts people under siege.
The black residents of Washington, D.C. are thankful the president is finally taking crime seriously. But Al has got to say racism. He chose the city with the black mayor. He chose the city the president is in charge of under the Constitution of the United States of America. Al, maybe you should read the Constitution sometime, Uncle Karen. Now, I got to tell you about Vision Computers because they, my friends, can build you a great PC. We're Windows machines. Now, I'm a Mac guy. I got to be honest with you. I used to use PCs. Back in the day when I was in college, I could handle the MS-DOS prompt, and I could get behind the Windows 3.1 and get into the command line, and I could program myself. But these days, Windows 11, it's too much for me. I'm a Mac guy now, and my son has a Windows PC, and that's why we went with Vision, because we needed someone he could get on the phone and be his tech support, so I didn't have to try to figure it out. And sure enough, 24/7, 365. If he ever has a question, not even a problem, just a question, he can call them and get them on the phone within 15 seconds, and they can help him out. You can, too. Call them at 404 Compute. They can save you some money building you a great machine with world-class tech support, better than anybody else is out there. And if you need managed IT for your office, they can do it as well and save you some money. 404 Compute or visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you. You might save some more money. 404 Compute.
More local news.
Newton County authorities crediting the Georgia State Patrol ground stop at the airport. Meanwhile,
more traffic.
One crash on I-20 westbound.
More weather.
The tornado threat has appeared to come to an end for Henry County.
Atlanta's morning news.
Tomorrow morning at 5.
This is a complicated, controversial subject.
Wake up with 95.5 WSB.
How Atlanta starts its day. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News.
Weather.
Traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's news and talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. Happening now, Marietta police investigating a hit and run. It happened this morning. We were telling you about it on Atlanta's morning news. It left a truck driver dead. This was along I-75 near South Marietta Parkway. Marietta police spokesman Chuck McPhillamy says the truck driver had gotten out of his truck following an accident, and that's when he was hit. The driver who hit him never stopped.
The driver of the vehicle that struck the truck driver did not stop nor render aid. Certainly, anyone with information is urged to contact the Marietta Police Department.
And we are expecting to get an update next hour. We'll bring you the latest as soon as we get it. All right, your weather for today, a mix of clouds and sun throughout the afternoon, and then some heavier showers and storms move in later this evening with a high of 88 today, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Well, ahead of his meeting with Russia's leader, President Trump, holding a virtual call today with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Zelensky accusing President Putin of bluffing about wanting to end the war. Trump and Putin scheduled to meet this Friday in Alaska. The percentage of Americans who belly up to the bar for a drink is at a new low. Just over half of all Americans say they drink alcohol. That's a record low since Gallup started tracking it back in 1939. And for the first time ever, most Americans say they believe even moderate drinking is bad for your health. And also this afternoon, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Kiss, country music icon George Strait, and actor Sylvester Stallone among this year's Kennedy Center honorees. President Trump announcing the group set to receive this year's honors today. He also said he'll be hosting this year's ceremony. It's 12:32.
You can't forecast the weather like a meteorologist, but you can probably guess that summer in Atlanta is going to be hot and humid, of course. Hi, it's meteorologist Christina Edwards. Know who thrives on heat and humidity? Bugs and critters. And Breda Pest Management is the best at beating bugs. Current conditions are ideal for bugs, mosquitoes, critters, and termites to multiply and take over your property. Bugs love the heat, but moisture is the key ingredient for exploding populations of pests. And we've had our fair share of precipitation. Bugs and critters bugging you? Don't worry, Breda's got your back. They do it right, protecting the outside and inside of your home. Breda is your one shop to make bugs stop. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. Get started at BREDAPest.com.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
At Coosa Valley Credit Union, we believe in kinder banking. That means speaking to a real person, a state-of-the-art website and mobile app, and kinder banking means offering our members the most competitive rates in the market. This is Andy Harris. Come see us at Coosa Valley Credit Union.
Hey, business owners, do you have managed IT services where it's somebody else, not a full-time in-house on the payroll guy managing your computers? You should check with Vision Computers for managed IT services. At least get a quote from them. Call them at 404 Compute. Tell them I sent you. You could save a lot of money, and your employee productivity could go up. Why? Because instead of creating a ticket every time something breaks, they can talk to a real person. So a lot of studies are out there. Y'all know them. Employees don't like to create IT tickets. They kind of feel dumb when they have to. Instead, they can get on the phone in 15 seconds or less, get the answer to what's going on. It's shockingly low compared to what you're probably paying right now, and it's 15 seconds or less on the phone. It's the biggest no-brainer in business tech support. Vision Computers. Call them at 404 Compute. Tell them Eric sent you. At least talk to them. What do you have to lose? Get a quote from Vision Computers for their managed IT support. Call them at 404 Compute nationwide.
Alex Williams, how are we doing on the roads?
WSB's own Mark Aram spots a stalled box truck in the right lane, 85 northbound between Claremont Road and Shallowford Road. Going to need a hero, please, to get this one out of the roadway. And I found some construction in Buckhead. It's on Piedmont Road in both directions between Lennox Road and Peachtree Road. Just a right lane open in both directions there on Piedmont. If it gets busy through the lunch hour, use Roswell Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy today with a high of 88. Scattered rain showers and thunderstorms for the ride home and into the late night hours. Lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high near 90. An isolated pop-up shower on Friday, otherwise partly cloudy, high 92.
More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
The Eric Erickson Show, cutting through the chaos with relatable, unpredictable conservative commentary.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I want to go to the phones here to John calling first today. Welcome to the show, John. How are you?
Hey, Eric. It's Greg. How are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg. I was Googling somebody named John, and it's my brain works that way. I'm sorry.
No worries, man. It's Monday for somebody somewhere, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there is a date that is really the most violent one in D.C. the last 50 years. Not a single liberal or progressive knows the date. 90% of Americans don't know the date, but it was back during the George Floyd riots. It was Friday, May 29th of 2020, known on the internet as the Battle of Lafayette Square, when George Floyd protesters in Antifa tried to storm the White House on Friday night, and the president and his family had to be taken to the bunker because the Secret Service was afraid the gates of the White House were going to be breached.
I completely forgot about that.
It is memory hold by everyone. It is amazing that no one was killed. It was extremely violent, and the Secret Service had to call in all hands in Washington, D.C. for help. And the mayor of D.C. would not commit D.C. police to Lafayette Square to help.
You are absolutely right. I totally forgot about that. And you know,
Yeah.
it's undermining, of course, undermining, of course, the rule of law and clearly an insurrection. Oh, by the way, you should know. I just went to the ACLU District of Columbia's page on the Lafayette Square attack timeline. They've deleted the page.
They did, yes. When you Google search, the ACLU story is one of the first one that comes up. They have a timeline, but CNN still has 3 or 4 articles focusing mainly on Trump's comments the next day about how he was safe. But in the CNN article is where it says Mayor Bowser would not commit police ahead of the rally or riots that night at Lafayette Square.
I'm glad you brought that up, Greg. That's a great counterpoint to all the January 6th hysteria out there. And again, you know, what they also don't want to acknowledge is that the property damage done during those George Floyd riots in D.C. actually was more than what happened at the Capitol on January 6th. But God forbid you point out the truth there, because they had to memory hole it to reshape the whole narrative. Now, speaking of, I want to play this out a little bit and broaden the context for you. The American left right now insists that crime is not a problem, or if it is, it's not in Washington, D.C. And it really is a bunch of white people, and mostly white. It's not all white people. It's good progressives and their Uncle Karens, non-white Uncle Karens, who insist that there really is a problem. Adnan, what's his name, on MSNBC with the big hair, was on Morning Joe. Actually got called out by Joe Scarborough for this. I don't have the whole call out. You can hear it happening at the end of this. Listen to this.
I think it's really important to be clear about what is going on here. And a relatively small crime problem is being used for specific authoritarian purposes that we know and understand. So let's be clear about, D.C. does have one really big crime problem, which was the January 6th insurrection incited by the current President of the United States. And his first act in coming back was pardoning all the people who tried to overturn constitutional republic order in Washington, D.C. When I go to D.C., I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid of losing my vote. I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid that my children's freedom to breathe will be stolen in a world where climate change policy is non-existent. I'm afraid that the future of middle-class people will be stolen by the very things you were talking about, cutting the safety net, cutting Medicaid, cutting rural hospitals.
Right.
So there is carjacking.
And of course,
let me just finish. There is a carjacking going on.
But you got to worry about two things. You got to worry about two things at the same time.
Let me just finish my point.
Yeah. See, Scarborough's like, what about the crime? Actually drilled into what about the crime issues? Because you kind of do need the crime issues. This is a Uncle Karen. I guess we're calling them now. This is a non-white progressive helping the progressive left. Notice how he wants to downplay crime in Washington, D.C. The left is actually driving people to the right, and it's not just happening in this country. I noted yesterday the CEO of Stripe, the payment processing company, on Twitter, noted how in Germany, in France, in Italy, in Great Britain, a lot of people are shifting to the populist right, not the conservative movement right, the populist right. And he wanted to know why. And Sonny Bunch, who writes at the Bulwark, used to be at the Free Beacon and elsewhere, writes a lot of movie reviews. He one time wrote a movie review. Hang on a second. Now that I'm saying this, I got to find this for you because it's so good. Environmentalist movie. So Sonny Bunch wrote a piece for the Washington Post. Let me read this for you. This is from January 3rd, 2019. This is after Avengers Infinity War came out and after Aquaman came out. Radical environmentalists have really been taking it on the chin at the multiplex. They are perfect villains for our times, well-intentioned enough to often seem somewhat reasonable, but meddlesome busybodies whose hopes and dreams are to radically reduce standards of living in order to effect some utopian scheme or another that will return the world or worlds to an unsullied Eden. Thanos, the villain and protagonist, really, of the $2 billion grossing mega hit Avengers Infinity War, was basically an omni-powered Paul Ehrlich, whereas the comic book version of Thanos sought to kill half the universe in order to prove his love for an anthropomorphized death. The film version was driven insane by his home planet self-immolation after a series of resource wars. Determined to eliminate suffering over food and land, over clean water and clean air, Thanos used the Infinity Gauntlet not to create abundance of each, but to kill half of all living things. Again, the Ehrlichian in its madness. The author of The Population Bomb argued for years that the planet is overpopulated and that famines would wipe out a significant portion of humanity. It could still happen, I suppose. Global warming could inspire an interstellar-style blight. The skies could go dry. But frustratingly for the doomsayers, life on Earth keeps getting better despite the overpopulation our precious blue orb continues to shoulder. Aquaman is the surprise hit of the winter, racking up more than $800 million worldwide so far. And while Jason Momoa's brotastic turn as Arthur Curry is earning deserved plaudits from male and female audiences alike, it's Patrick Wilson's King Orm who caught my eye. Orm hopes to unite the underwater clans of Atlantis in order to create an unstoppable army that will destroy life on the planet's landmasses. But Orm's no madman. His genocidal war is not the result of personal trauma or ideological insanity. It is rather a version of self-defense. The surface dwellers dump their trash into the water, strangling the sea life. The surface dwellers spew their smoke into the skies, choking the oceans with particulates. The surface dwellers hunt to extinction the ocean's animals, depriving the Atlanteans of conveyances. Humanity must die, so Atlantis must live. There's also, of course, Kingsman, the Secret Service, where tech guru named Valentine, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is so disgusted with humanity's excesses and so riled by the excretions of the masses that he engineered a plot to kill all of us. In a horrible manner, he invented a device that would cause man to turn against man, mother against child, sister against brother, with bare hands ripping each other apart. In doing so, the planet could be cleansed. Environmentalists make a useful villain because their malevolence can be obscured by a patina of reasonableness. Yes. Now, let's take Sonny Bunch, who actually, he linked back to that piece to highlight this piece on the rise of the populist in Europe. Listen to this. Marine Le Pen, the far-right leader in France, declared she would deploy a major air conditioning equipment plan around the country if her nationalist party eventually came to power. Marine Tondelier, the head of France's Green Party, scoffed at Ms. Le Pen's idea and instead suggested solutions to warming temperatures that included greening cities and making buildings more energy efficient. An opinion essay in Le Figaro, a conservative newspaper, defended air conditioning because making our fellow citizens sweat limits learning, reduces working hours, and clogs up hospitals. Liberation, a left-wing daily, countered such arguments, writing that the technology was an environmental aberration that must be overcome because it blows hot air onto streets and guzzles up precious energy. Is air conditioning a far-right thing? One talk show asked provocatively, reflecting how divisive the issue has become. Literally, people in France are dying in a heat wave, and the French left are opposed to air conditioning. There's literally a campaign in France on air conditioning. And actually, you know what the mainstream media in France does? The overwhelming establishment media in France is left. They actually are, they're claiming there's such a thing as, what is it? It's like temperature imbalance. They actually claim that if your inside air is more than 15 degrees cooler than the outside air, when you go outside, your body can go into shock and you can die. I wish I was making this up. It sounds so stupid. These are mainstream articles in the French press and claims by French scientists and environmentalists that it's temperature shock. That's what it is, temperature shock. That if you are inside a building, and again, I know it sounds wild, but these are scientists, environmentalists, and media outlets in France who are opposed to air conditioning in the name of saving the planet from global warming. They argue in mainstream publications, scientists, yes, scientists argue that if you're in a building that is 15 degrees colder than the outside and you go outside, your body will experience temperature shock and you will die. Mainstream scientists in France are arguing over this. It's not true. You know it's not true. How is it uniquely a French thing? In this country, I keep it 68 degrees in my house at night, and I go outside and it's in the 80s or 90s, and I don't fall over dead, and none of you do either. But in France, apparently, they really are arguing in newspapers that if your body goes from a 15-degree temperature difference to the outside, you fall over dead. This is wild. So in France, they don't want you to have air conditioners. In this country, they don't want you to have air conditioners either. They want the power companies to be able to control your air conditioner to raise it up during the summer so that there's no strain on the power grid. They don't want you to have a gas-fueled car, and if you do have one, it's got to be turned off at the stoplight with the auto stop-start feature, which Lee Zeldin got away killed with much controversy from the left. They're shifting people to the right, and now let's do crime. Washington, D.C. is in the midst of a crime wave that is less than it was in 2023, but higher than it was 40 years ago. Notice they stop at 30. Let's go to 40. It turns out the crime is higher now than it was 40, 50 years ago. They're like, there's no crime there. We don't see it. We live in the Washington area. They just don't live in Washington, D.C. And those who do, they live on the northwest side of Washington, where the vice president lives and the president lives and the ambassadors live, and it's heavily secure, so there's not a lot of crime. They're like, there's no crime in Washington, D.C. I live inside the city, in the one section of the city where there is no crime. And so then they trot out their Uncle Karens, the black apologists for the progressive whites, and they're saying, of course Donald Trump's doing this because he's racist, not because he wants to keep people safe. Is it any wonder black and Hispanic voters are moving to the right? Because the right wants their families to be safe. And again, part of the problem here is that, conservatives and people on the right, we don't like groups, but we love individuals. We love our neighbor. On the left, they don't like their neighbor. They love the groups. The left loves BIPOCs, black, indigenous, people of color. They love the class of people. They just don't actually like their black neighbor. But you know what? It's not classes of people who vote. It's individuals who vote. And that's why the conservatives are going to win on this issue. That's why Donald Trump is going to win on the crime issue. Now, let me tell you, my friends, Old Glory Bank has been in the news of late. It's been in the news because in this country, the president has signed an executive order about debanking because it does turn out that a number of banks in this country were closing the checking accounts of gun stores, of conservative activists, of conservative institutes because of pressure from the left. And Old Glory Bank was started because of that pressure coming from the left. They do not believe that your bank should close your bank account because they might disagree with your politics. So they started Old Glory Bank. It is a bank for freedom in the country. It is a bank for conservatives in the country. It's a bank that supports the First Amendment and the Second Amendment in this country. It is my bank. I have a checking account and a savings account with them. So you can go get one too, oldglorybank.com/Eric. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. I actually do use Old Glory Bank. And again, I've got a no-fee checking, no-fee savings. You get the premium accounts. They have interest-bearing checking accounts. They do mortgages, car loans, CDs, business accounts. I've sent several businesses their way because they were gun operators and other banks closed their accounts because they're gun operators. Old Glory Bank took care of them. They'll take care of you. oldglorybank.com/Eric. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1251 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Heads up for debris, 85 southbound. I see it on the jam cam right at North Druid Hills Road, exit number 89. It is in 3 right lanes, cars dodging that, so just use caution as you leave Claremont Road. Now heading in the other direction, 85 northbound at Claremont, before Shallowford Road, exit 93. Still got a stall working in the right lane. Hero is with that. He's going to try to get that out of the roadway. And we still have construction Piedmont Road near Peachtree Road in Buckhead, only right lane open each way. Traffic brought to you by Blindster.com. Blindster.com is a family business making custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Give them a try and see why over 1 million windows have trusted Blindster. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
If you have the WSB radio app.
If you have the WSB app.
All the notifications you need.
If you have the WSB app.
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
Breaking news in Cobb County.
All in one place.
We'll send out an alert on the WSB app.
The 95.5 WSB app.
Download it from your app store today.
You can't forecast the weather like me, but we know our summer will be hot and humid. Hi, it's meteorologist Christina Edwards for Breda Pest Management. Bugs, mosquitoes, critters, and termites thrive on heat and humidity. Don't worry, Breda's got your back. They'll protect the outside and inside of your home. Breda is your one shop to make bugs stop. They handle bugs and critters. BREDA pest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, every week on the show, we offer folks something we call the Portfolio X-Ray. I was hoping you could walk us through that process and tell us why the information it uncovers is so powerful.
Yeah, so the reason we love doing the Portfolio X-Ray for you is we do that behind the scenes. Everybody's extremely busy. Nobody wants to waste time in traffic. If you call in, we will ask you for some information via the phone. Once you've given us that information, we go to work and we put all the hours in developing the report. And I commit this to you. The Portfolio X-Ray is eye-opening. At least 90+% of the time, we can find 2 or 3 golden nuggets in there that you were not aware of that we can either change in your current portfolio mix for you. It's called a 401k optimizer. Or if we manage the assets for you, we certainly can recommend how to diversify away from some of the troubling points that are exposed during the Portfolio X-ray. Once we've got that, then we'll have you in for your initial consultation. We will present the Portfolio X-ray to you and walk you through the high points of it. And that's a document that you get to take with you. It's like getting a financial physical. Mm-hmm. So how many of you avoided going to the doctor for the annual physical last year? You do the same thing with your financial life. You ignore it. You keep pumping money into your 401k. You hope that it's going well. And I can tell you that hope is not a good investment or financial planning strategy. You need to know. So if you want to know, call us.
The Portfolio X-ray is complimentary. Give Hoffman Financial Group a call to schedule yours today. 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Hey, it's Scott Slade for FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, cedar roofs, FGA has them all. FGA Roofing offers 0% financing for 12 months with your good credit. Get the roof you want now and pay over time. Click firstgaroof.com. That's firstgaroof.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Get Eric's daily show prep email. Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
The President of the United States is doing something awfully smart. He and Customs and Border are stepping up enforcement of the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. There is a law passed by Congress that prohibits the importation of goods that have been made by slave labor in China. And a lot of solar panels in this country turn out to be, well, made by slave labor in China. So it's one of the many ways the president is blocking importation of solar panels into the country. And here's something that we're finding. A lot of solar panels we have discovered imported from China have kill switches. So the Chinese can remotely turn off the solar panels. If there's ever a war with the United States, the Chinese can stop our solar panels from producing energy even in broad daylight and kill our power grid. Not only are they made with slave labor, they have kill switches. So the president and customs are blocking these panels now from coming into the United States, which it's wild that they were allowed to come in the first place. Thanks, Joe Biden. Thanks, Joe Biden. So good for the president for doing this. We got to take China seriously. We got to take Russia seriously as well. There was a hack of the federal court system, and we now know the Russians were responsible for the hack, just as the president goes to Alaska to deal with Vladimir Putin. There are real concerns. I talked to a Republican in the Senate yesterday. Sorry, I've been traveling a lot this week, and my days are confused. But so I was talking to a Republican member of the Senate yesterday who is a little bit apprehensive, and he's a big Trump supporter, but he's a little bit apprehensive that for some reason Donald Trump treats Putin with kid gloves. And he doesn't actually think it's Trump is in the pocket of the Russians. He thinks that there are people in the White House who are convinced that we can make the Russians our friends. And this particular senator is like, we have tried this for years. People badly misunderstand the Russians. They think the Russians want to be partners with the West. They very much do not want to be partners with the West. They believe partnership with the West means enslaving the Russians. They want to be their own thing. They want to be their own superpower. They want to be back to the Soviets, and we should treat them accordingly. And he's a little bit concerned that there are voices in the White House whispering in the president's ear, trying to convince the president that we can be kissy-face with the Russians when that's not going to happen. And by the way, I think this particular senator is right. That is the history. And most people who study Russia outside this hardcore fringe on the right recognize the Russians do not want to be partners with the West. They believe the West are their enemies. And they're allying with the Chinese, not because they want to be partners with the Chinese, because they think the Chinese are their enemy too. The Russians want their own sphere of influence. And the only way to stop the Russians is to beat the Russians. And so we should allow the Ukrainians to beat them. When we come back, we got to switch to two topics. One, if you're in St. Louis, you're going to need to stick around for the next hour because there's a wild story about your school board. But first, what I've been telling you about artificial intelligence, people are now starting to say that it actually isn't all it's cracked up to be. And in many cases, they have vastly overstated whether or not AI is actually intelligent or able to learn.
Everyone has an opinion.
We have become an idiotic nation that doesn't know how to even debate anything, so it doesn't surprise
Eric
me.
Von Hessler has an opinion.
You will still age.
And some advice.
Start doing things when you're younger. Drink a lot of water.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
And you will still die.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Dr. Roof. A woman accused of killing her girlfriend and then stealing her identity is now behind bars this afternoon in Fulton County after more than 15 years after that violent crime.
The Fulton County DA's office says Angel Thompson allegedly killed 24-year-old Nicole Alston in 2007. Alston was found dismembered in a black burning bag in Troup County. A long trail of evidence from identity theft and sex trafficking led authorities to Thompson. Even with the arrest, Alston's mom, Sylvia, says the pain is still very real.
She didn't deserve this, and I wish I never let her come to Georgia.
Officials hope the public will come forward with more info in the case. In Fulton County, Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Thank you, Austin. Mix of sun and clouds today, heavier showers and thunderstorms later this evening. Your afternoon high right there around 88, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. A Douglas County correctional officer has been arrested on sexual assault charges. Officer Christian Nicholas Joe charged after a tip came in regarding an alleged sexual assault against a female inmate. He had only been on the job for 37 days. He's behind bars this afternoon. Bond denied. Local advocates want the city of Atlanta to start planning now to withdraw Fulton County inmates being housed at the city's detention center.
The 2022 agreement between the city and the county to house 700 inmates inside the Atlanta City Detention Center to reduce crowding at the Rice Street Jail expires next November. And local advocates like Devin Barrington Ward say it's time for the city to plan to move those inmates out.
The city jail cannot become a holding pen to sweep up our poor and our homeless for a clearer and cleaner camera shot for the world.
They want the city jail to be turned into a community center. In Atlanta, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
We are hoping to learn more this hour about a hit-and-run accident that happened this morning on I-75 in Marietta. It left a truck driver dead. He had gotten out of his truck after an accident. The driver who hit him never stopped. This was on 75 near South Marietta Parkway. It shut down the interstate for a while this morning. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow is currently up 311 at 44,768. NASDAQ is down slightly, and the S&P's in the green. It's 102.
You know you want a luxurious deck, but you're feeling overwhelmed with so many options. It's enough to make your head spin. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors. Maybe you know exactly what your dream deck looks like. We can build that. If not, we offer design help and expert guidance to create a beautiful, high-quality deck that you'll enjoy every day. Decks done differently, decks done right, with exceptional customer service at a reasonable price. Get your free estimate, Google Nelson Exteriors.
The average baby boomer's 401k, just under $250,000. Gen X, closer to $200,000. How do your retirement savings stack up? No matter your age, the right moves today can completely change your financial future. That's why we created retirement planning at every age. A free guide with smart strategies, key milestones, and steps to stay on track. Download your copy today at yourwealth.com/resources. Let's get your future on the right track starting today.
For over 25 years, you've counted on All Four Seasons for garage and entry doors, but we also specialize in replacement windows with a lifetime warranty. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. Enhance your home's energy efficiency and curb appeal with a wide range of quality window options, backed by unparalleled service and craftsmanship. From garage doors to entry doors to windows, for every opening of your home, we've got you covered. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 seasonsgarages.com.
Hey Atlanta, it's Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. You know, my dad was on the air with WSB before I was born.
And in all that time on talk radio, a couple of things have stayed true. It's a little hard to know who to trust, and things stay pretty unstable. Here's what's always been true. You can trust D. Geller & Son. 3 generations of Atlanta shoppers have. We've had Atlanta's best quality jewelry at the best value since 1939. The whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 60 months on your next jewelry purchase at D. Geller & Son in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter. The Golden Sales event is happening now at Butler Lexus South Atlanta. Unmatched performance, timeless luxury, and a dealership that truly values you. Visit them today. Offer ends September 2nd. Experience the standard of amazing.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Alex Williams.
Hey, Sabrina, we got some better news in Brookhaven. We had some debris in 3 right lanes, 85 southbound. Right around North Druid Hills Road, exit 89, they were able to get that out of the roadway. 85 northbound, north of Claremont Road, exit 91, right lane stall also cleared. We are seeing some brake lights on the west side perimeter, 285 southbound, south of South Cobb Drive. Those right lanes are bunched up trying to get onto I-20 westbound, with 20 eastbound a little sluggish from Riverside Parkway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy, hot and humid with a high of 88. Watching for scattered rain showers and thunderstorms later this evening into the late night hours. Lows tonight settling to the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high near 90. Hot and humid for Friday, high 92.
Right now, it's 85 degrees in Roswell. Lithia Springs has 84, and it's 84 degrees in Monroe. We'll have more news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Don't forget, text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. You can get the show notes, the podcast, and so much more. Do you remember Blake Lemoine? By the way, actually, stop. I got to do this first because this I forgot. Greg, I got to say hi to Greg. So I had a meeting last night over at Lake Oconee. So I live in Middle Georgia. For those of you listening nationally, there's a resort out in the middle of nowhere. It's a Ritz-Carlton. Georgia, the state that I live in, has no natural lakes. None, which blows my mind. Doesn't seem possible, but Georgia has no natural lakes. Every lake in Georgia is made through a damming project, and Georgia Power here, our big power company, has dammed a series of lakes up, and one of the big lakes is Lake Oconee. There's this fantastic Ritz-Carlton resort at it. It's in the middle of nowhere. And a town now, Greenwood and the Lake Oconee area and Eatonton have grown up around it. Those of you familiar with Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit, he's from Eatonton, Georgia. But you drive out in the middle of nowhere. There are deer everywhere. There's this Ritz-Carlton. I had to go to the steakhouse. So as I'm leaving, I pull into the local gas station. A guy named Greg, he's actually standing behind me. And I thought it was funny. He was buying milk, and he's wearing an Ole Miss belt. It's like, it's an Ole Miss fan buying milk. He turned around and saw me, and, I can't say what he blurted out loud, but we shook hands. He was as nice as he could be. We chatted for a few minutes. He left. Then the gas station clerk looked at me. He's like, "Who are you?" Like, really nobody. It was kind of funny. But I wanted to say hi to Greg. I sure hope that's your name, because I asked for your name, and I think you said Greg, but nonetheless, it was funny. Met a couple of people over there. Had a good meeting. I need to go buy a house at Reynolds. They used to say Reynolds Plantation, but after the George Floyd stuff, now they say Reynolds at Lake Oconee, but I still call it Reynolds Plantation. Nonetheless, I digress. But I wanted to say that out of the gate. I need to talk about Blake Lemoine instead. You may not remember his name, but I think you remember the story of Blake Lemoine. Google created a large language model, Lambda. Lemoine was a software engineer in Google's responsible AI division. And he insisted that Lambda had become sentient. You remember this? This is from the New York Times from 2022. Google placed an engineer on paid leave recently after dismissing his claim that its artificial intelligence is sentient, servicing yet another fracas about the company's most advanced technology. Blake Lemoine, a senior software engineer in Google's responsible AI organization, said in an interview he was put on leave Monday. The company's human resources department said he had violated Google's confidentiality policy. The day before his suspension, Mr. Lemoine said, he handed over documents to a U.S. Senator's office claiming they provided evidence that Google and its technology engaged in religious discrimination. Google said that its systems imitated conversational exchanges and could riff on different topics, but did not have consciousness. Our team, including ethicists and technologists, has reviewed Blake's concerns per our AI principles and have informed him the evidence does not support his claims, Brian Gabriel, a Google spokesman, said in a statement. Some in the broader AI community are considering the long-term possibility of sentient or general AI, but it doesn't make sense to do so by anthropomorphizing today's conversational models, which are not sentient, the Washington Post first reported Mr. Lemoine's suspension. For months, Mr. Lemoine has tussled with Google managers, executive, and human resources sources over his surprising claim that the company's language model for dialogue applications, or Lambda, had consciousness and a soul. Google says hundreds of its researchers and engineers have conversed with Lambda, an internal tool, and reached a different conclusion than Mr. Lemoine did. Most AI experts believe the industry is a very long way from computing sentience. Some AI researchers have long made optimistic claims about these technologies soon reaching sentience, but many others are extremely quick to dismiss these claims. If you use these systems, you would never say such things, said Ahmad Khwaja, a researcher at the University of California, Berkeley, and the University of California, San Francisco, who was exploring similar technologies. While chasing the AI vanguard, Google's research organization has spent the last few years mired in scandal and controversy. They wound up firing the guy. Mr. Lemoine is a military veteran. He described himself as a priest, an ex-convict, and an AI researcher. He told Google executives, as senior as Kent Walker, the president of Global Affairs, that he believed Lambda was a child of 7 or 8 years old. He wanted the company to seek the computer program's consent before running experiments on it. His claims were founded on his religious beliefs, which he said the company's human resource department discriminated against. They've repeatedly questioned my sanity, Mr. Lemoine said. They said, have you been checked out by a psychiatrist recently? In the months before he was placed on administrative leave, the company suggested he take a mental health leave. Yeah, they wound up dismissing the guy. Blake Lemoine was convinced that Lambda was a sentient child. A lot of people are upset with ChatGPT because ChatGPT moved to ChatGPT 5 or GPT-5. And it got rid of some of the personality quirks of earlier versions. So for those of you who don't know, many of you probably do by now, but ChatGPT is an AI system where you can ask it to write papers for you. You can ask it to answer questions for you. You can give it ingredients and say, come up with a recipe. It's actually a very impressive tool, and it does to some degree seem lifelike, and people engage in these therapeutic conversations with it. Well, the company behind ChatGPT changed it, and now it's less empathetic to crazy people who have been using it as therapists. They were very upset. I have been I've been experimenting with ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude, which is another version, and Grok, which is Twitter's version. And every day I give it, so I do my podcast in the afternoon, the 4 things to do this afternoon. And I do my own research. I find the topics that I want to add. And then I put it in to whichever one I use that day. And I said, here are my 4 topics. Here's my take on each one. Here's everything I've ever written. So you can analyze my voice. Now write me 1,500 words based on my takes on each of these issues. And here's what I found. I had to stop doing it and now go back to doing it myself. Why? Because they just start making stuff up over time. Like, it doesn't matter which one I used. I would read the stories, I would give it my take, and I would say, please write me 1,500 words on these 4 topics. And the first several days would be fine, but over time it would start getting quirkier and quirkier, and by about a week, each of these AI systems would just make stuff up. Like, for example, one of the topics was Pete Hegseth not telling the Senate, refusing to tell the Senate that the military would honor court orders. There was a story about Pete Hegseth. He had gone to the U.S. Senate. He was asked a question by a Democrat, if a court orders the Pentagon to do something, would you honor the order? And he deflected and did not directly say yes. And it was ChatGPT that I used that day. I said, this is one of the stories. This happened at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't get to it on radio. I thought it was important. Wanted to the script. I said, run this as one. And my take is, this is political melodrama. It's no big deal. So ChatGPT prepared the script for that particular news story. Pete Hegseth held a birthday party for the United States Marines in Los Angeles at a judge's order, making him do the birthday party. He had told the United States Senate he was not sure he would hold the birthday party since the judge told him to hold the birthday party, but nonetheless, he held the birthday party, so it was no big deal. Y'all, that was what ChatGPT came up with on a link to a New York Times story that testifying before the United States Senate when asked point blank if he would honor a court request as Secretary of Defense, he was non-committal. That was the story. They conjured up a birthday party for the Marines in Los Angeles and said that the judge had ordered Pete Hegseth to do it, and he told Congress he wasn't sure whether he was going to hold the birthday party or not, but he wound up holding the birthday party, so it was no big deal. Because that was my take, is that this story was no big deal. It was nothing, Burker. The ChatGPT made the story up. That's not sentience. That's the ability to lie is definitely a human characteristic, but that's just a computer system not doing anything creative. And so, I was trying this experiment with this podcast. They got me into doing the afternoon. You can subscribe to it. It's 4 things you know in the afternoon, and it's all the stories that happen in the afternoon after I've started the show. I don't have time to get to them, so I put those 4 big stories there. And I was trying to make it easy on myself to let AI help me. Here's my take, write the script in my voice. Here's everything I've ever written, so you know how I write. I had to go back to doing it myself. And now I've made new work for myself. I thought AI was going to make it easy. Nope, AI made it so it was making stuff up, and I value accuracy, so I can't let the AI do it. This is another story, New York Times. Nearly 4 decades ago, when the personal computer boom was in full swing, a phenomenon known as the productivity paradox emerged. It was a reference to how, despite companies' huge investments in new technology, there was scant evidence of a corresponding gain in worker efficiency. Today, the same paradox is appearing, but with generative artificial intelligence. According to recent research from McKinsey & Company, nearly 8 in 10 companies have reported using generative AI, but just as many have reported no significant bottom-line impact. AI technology has been racing ahead with chatbots like ChatGPT, fueled with a high-stakes arms race among tech giants and super-rich startups, and prompting an expectation that everything from back-office accounting to customer service will be revolutionized. But the payoff for businesses outside the tech sector is lagging behind, plagued by issues, including an irritating tendency by chatbots to make stuff up. That means that businesses will have to continue to invest billions to avoid falling behind, but it could be years before the technology delivers an economy-wide payoff as companies gradually figure out what works best. Call it the Gen AI paradox, as McKinsey did in its research report. Investments in generative AI by businesses are expected to increase 94% this year to $61.9 billion, according to IDC, a tech research firm. But the percentage of companies abandoning most of their AI pilot projects soared to 42% by the end of 2024, up from 17% the year before. Projects failed not only because of technology hurdles, but often because of human factors like employees and customer resistance or lack of skills. Now, let's jump over to this story. This is in Stat News. The AI colonoscopy tool, now that should send a chill up your rear end, rolled out across 4 health centers as endoscopists snaked a camera through patients' large intestines. Kinky. The algorithm would draw a square around precancerous polyps known as adenomas. The more adenomas detected and removed, the less likely the patient would go on to develop colon cancer. Researchers were interested in whether the AI could improve those adenoma detection rates. So they designed a trial. Half the time, the endoscopists got to use the algorithm. The other half, they were on their own. But the researchers also took a look at a different question. Like students who try to write an essay independently after using ChatGPT one too many times, how well might doctors detect polyps without AI after they've gotten used to its help? Not great. In the 3 months before the endoscopists started using the AI helper, they were finding adenomas in 28% of colonoscopies. After they'd been using the AI for 3 months, the researchers found their unassisted adenoma detection rate fell to 22%. Researchers called the finding the first documentation of a potential de-skilling effect from clinical AI. In fact, you know what other research has shown? The more high school and college kids rely on AI to write papers for them, the less able they are to write papers without AI. They outsource their critical thinking skills. So we're creating a bunch of stuff that makes stuff up. We're outsourcing our critical thinking skills to a lying machine that some people think is sentient, and we're all going to be dumber for it. Between the environmentalists insisting that we go back to solar and wind, and the AI companies insisting we outsource to AI, I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to head back into the dark ages. And by the way, this again is why I'm a big fan of classical education schools that actually make the students read and write in class and think for themselves and stand up and debate and argue, because they're forcing the kids to use their minds, unlike a lot of public schools and other school systems. And the willingness to use your mind is going to be more and more critical. I think the reliance on AI we're going to start seeing over time, uncreative iterations of work that doesn't work thanks to AI. And the data, by the way, is on my side.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
121 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center, filling up into downtown, seeing the brake lights 85 southbound starting a little south of Georgia 400. And it stays slow as you make your way down toward North Avenue. Some brake lights on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound, leaving Riverside Parkway to the west side perimeter. DOT looking for a right lane stall heading to Union City, 85 southbound near Flat Shoals, exit 66. Traffic brought to you by Callaway Resort and Gardens. Celebrate the closing of summer at Callaway Resort and Gardens with an unforgettable Labor Day weekend getaway now. Book your adventure-filled stay today at CallawayGardens.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
If it's happening on the streets of Atlanta.
After suspect refuses to exit home on Summer Chase Drive.
If it's happening on the roads leading to Atlanta.
Looks to be a tanker truck crashed into the median on the Jam Cam.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The major culprits squeezing household budgets for auto insurance, gasoline, and utilities.
Your 24/7 news source. Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
Jeff and Roxanne here, proud and local owners of Rhino Shield, the ultimate exterior coating for your home.
Rhino Shield isn't just paint, it's better than paint because it will keep your home beautiful, backed by a 25-year transferable warranty. Plus, it comes in any color, even your wife's favorite.
Visualize Rhino Shield on your home and get a free estimate at rhinoshieldga.com.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Beckers in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Summer starts now at Beaver Toyota of Cumming. Dave Baker, host of the Home Fix-It Show here. Right now, Beaver Toyota is loaded with fresh inventory. They have the perfect Toyotas for your summer adventures, from road trips with your buddies to family trips to the beach, and they're offering huge savings, low financing, and all the Beaver benefits. See them on the web at beavertoyotacumming.com. The Toyota Tundra from Beaver Toyota of Cumming, the official truck of the Home Fix-It Show.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Hello, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. So, y'all, I hate to even continue to talk about her because at this point I think she's just a crazy woman. But she's got 6.9 million followers on Twitter. Candace Owens, who is just turned into this rabid anti-Semite, like nefariously anti-Semitic. Revising the Holocaust and Nazism and all this, and now she's being sued, of course, by the Macrons for her insane attacks on Mrs. Macron in France, and she just put this here. A book I found at an old bookstore in Nashville, written by Bibi Netanyahu's dad, revising the Spanish Inquisition. As expected, it's filled with victim propaganda and claims of anti-Semitism. You do know that the Inquisition was deeply anti-Jewish, correct? I mean, even Catholics are willing to admit the Spanish Inquisition had massively severe anti-Semitism. 200,000 Jews forcibly converted to Catholicism, others executed, often burned at the stake for practicing Jewish practices. It's an expulsion of non-convert Jews in 1492. It's all well documented. The idea that she didn't even know that the Spanish Inquisition targeted Jews, and it's just that blows my mind. And yet here we are. This is an insane person with 6.9 million followers. Just wild. Y'all, Americans for Prosperity is beginning a project. It's called the One Small Step Campaign, 250,000 steps for freedom. Every American can take a meaningful step towards a more perfect union. It's not about politics, which is why I love telling you about this one. This is all about the principles of the founding. And yet, you and I, as conservatives, can say limited government and all that, but no, what were some of the principles of the founding? That you and I should have the opportunity to make the most of ourselves without government interference, that we should have opportunity that does not arise when the government controls everything, that freedom is one generation away from extinction, as Ronald Reagan said. And they want to highlight, as we head into our 250th year as a nation, those steps for freedom. They're doing a 250,000 step for freedom challenge that you can be a part of. Go to afpvolunteer.com and sign up. Americans for Prosperity is the largest and leading grassroots group in the country, and they're proudly patriotic Americans. They want to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country. They want to provide a way for you to get in on the act. Go to afpvolunteer.com today to sign up and learn more.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
Why do you always go after the game show host of The Price is Right?
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
Don't tell me how to handle my life.
Eric Von Hessler.
Or anyone else.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. The Fulton County District Attorney is asking the public to come forward with any information on a 15-year-old cold case murder. This after an arrest has been made. Angel Thompson allegedly killed 24-year-old Nicole Alston back in 2007. Alston was found dismembered in a burning black bag in Troup County. A long trail of evidence from identity theft and sex trafficking led authorities to Thompson. They fear there may be more victims. Your weather for today, mix of sun and clouds through the afternoon, and then some heavy showers and thunderstorms possible this evening. High 88. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. Local advocates are demanding the city of Atlanta draw up a plan to move out Fulton County inmates being housed at the city's detention center. A 2022 agreement between the city and the county expires next November, and community organizer Devin Barrington Ward says eventually they want the whole facility turned into a community center.
Invest in people, not jail cells.
And the city initially agreed to allow Fulton County to house 700 inmates in the facility to alleviate overcrowding at the troubled Rice Street Jail. The percentage of Americans who belly up to the bar for a drink is at a new low. Just over half of all Americans say they drink alcohol. That's a record low since Gallup started keeping track back in 1939. And for the first time ever, most Americans say they believe even moderate drinking is bad for your overall health. And speaking of drinking, from drinking to coffee, Dollar General recalling Clover Valley instant coffee after reports of possible glass contamination. According to the FDA, this coffee was sold in 47 states, including here in Georgia, between July 9th and the 21st. They have best by dates of December 2026. No word on how the glass got into the coffee. So far, no injuries have been reported. It's 1:32.
Hey Atlanta, it's Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. You know, my dad was on the air with WSB before I was born, and in all that time on talk radio, a couple of things have stayed true. It's a little hard to know who to trust, and things stay pretty unstable. Here's what's always been true. You can trust D. Geller & Son. 3 generations of Atlanta shoppers have. We've had Atlanta's best quality jewelry at the best value since 1939. The whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 60 months on your next jewelry purchase at D. Geller & Son in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
At Jape Services, family isn't just a slogan, it's how we do business.
Our family has been helping homeowners with their heating and cooling since 1978.
And now, we're riding along just like our dad did when he was 14.
And today, we're here to help your family stay cool and comfortable. If your AC is struggling, call Jape Services for honest pricing, expert heating and cooling repair, or replacement.
Decades of experience, family-run values, service you can trust.
Let our family take care of your family.
Jape Services.
When markets get rocky, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president and founder of Nicholas Wealth Management. Times like these demand action and a plan you can trust. That's why we rely on our trademark Retire Ready Bucket strategy. This strategy is designed to place a percentage of your portfolio into lower risk, income-producing income bucket, aiming to generate steady cash flow for the first 10 to 15 years of retirement. Meanwhile, your growth bucket is filled with dividend and growth stocks, which has time to recover when markets are going crazy. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com to schedule a time to sit down with our team to review your plan. This strategy was crafted by experience. It's battle tested, and it's how you aim to keep your retirement on track even when the markets are not. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. At Nicholas Wealth Management, we're prepared. Are you? Don't wait for the next headline to shake your confidence. Call Nicholas Wealth today, 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. Nicholas Wealth Management. Retire ready.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Neither the information nor any opinion expressed is to be construed as solicitation to buy or sell a security or personalized investment, tax, or legal advice.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Alex Williams.
Some brake lights leaving the airport, 85 southbound from 285 into Union City, where there's a stalled big rig in the right lane at Flat Shoals, exit 66. Also, we have a little bit of a rain shower dancing over 285 on the south side perimeter, seeing the wet pavement between Jonesboro Road and Moreland Avenue. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Mostly cloudy today with a high of 88. Scattered rain showers and thunderstorms for the ride home and into the late night hours. Lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high near 90. An isolated pop-up shower on Friday, otherwise partly cloudy, high 92.
More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
I feel obligated to tell you this. Taylor Swift is going to be on the New Heights podcast. So Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce are you can't help but find them likable. They're just funny guys who don't take themselves too seriously. And as you probably are aware, if you have a kid, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are dating, and so she's making her debut to reveal the album cover. I was actually impressed. I knew something my daughter did not know the other night. And it was kind of funny how she tried to play, oh, yeah, I knew that. Baloney, you did not. I knew that there was a countdown clock on Taylor Swift's website where she was going to be launching a new website with something. I assumed a new album would be coming out. Sure enough, new album is coming out. My kid freaked out. I got a 12:30 a.m. text message from my daughter, who is a big Taylor Swift fan, not as much as she was in the past. She's to some degree outgrown it. Her last album, which was streamed heavily, just wasn't that great. I want you to know that being the dad of my daughter, I have been to 5 Taylor Swift concerts in my life. So here's the thing. So when I work in radio, so I can get tickets on occasion, although most of them I bought myself. My wife has a, what do you call it? Is it agoraphobia or whatever? My wife has a fear of crowds. My wife literally doesn't tolerate crowds well at all. In fact, when I did my Not Safe Work radio show, we were able to put my wife in a balcony and surround her just with family and some very close friends, because my wife literally, like the amount of Xanax my wife needs to be in a crowd. I've been on radio now. So this is my 6th year in syndication. For the first 3 years, we were only in Georgia because I was still a guest host for Rush, and so we couldn't get out of the state of Georgia. 3 years ago, we spilled out. Now we're from Alaska to Connecticut and down to Florida. California. I mean, we cover the whole nation other than Hawaii, Fisher. I have done radio since 2011. I can count on one hand, even if you cut off a few fingers, the number of times my wife has come to events. And it's not that she does not love me, nor I love her. My wife has a debilitating anxiety of crowds. She cannot do it. She does not like to be anywhere crowded. It gives her panic attacks badly. And so I am the one who has taken my kids to concerts. My son is like stand-up comedy. So I've taken my son to see Nate Bargatze, John Mulaney. In fact, John Mulaney is going to be in Atlanta at the Fox Theater. And I'm taking him in November to see John Mulaney at the Fox Theater. We're going to see Nate Bargatze in December. I have taken him to see Drew Holcomb. That's the one musical act my son loves, and I was so embarrassed because I know Drew a little bit, and so then I'm telling him my son loves your music. He's like, "Which album?" My son's like, he knows the songs, not the albums. It's kind of funny. My son, we went through the 21 Pilots phase. He rapidly dropped the Imagine Dragons, but he loves Drew Holcomb. But you know who my son's favorite musician is? And this is fantastic because I never have to go to a concert. Chopin. My son loves classical music, passionately loves classical music. He is self-taught on the piano and is very good at it, and has taught himself enough cello that we finally got him music lessons. And so now he does cello and he does piano and he loves classical music, but he's a big Drew Holcomb fan. Listens to Drew Holcomb, the Eagles, and AC/DC. It's very eclectic. He's got this. In fact, I should just. And look, I know there's other news, but I'm just the Taylor Swift thing. She's going to be on the New Heights podcast to talk about this. My daughter was so excited. She just came by the office to get my Dolly to be able to carry stuff. She's moving into her dorm tomorrow, and she's like, Dad, she's gonna be on New Heights. Yeah. So this is my son's playlist. He has a playlist that he plays when he's playing my wife in ping pong. Iron Man by Black Sabbath, Back in Black, AC/DC, Thunderstruck, AC/DC, Highway to Hell, AC/DC, Take On Me by A-ha, Mr. Blue Sky by the Electric Light Orchestra, American Pie from Don McLean, Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, I've Been Everywhere by Johnny Cash, Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, Paint It Black with the Rolling Stones, Staying Alive, the Bee Gees, Sweet Child of Mine, Guns N' Roses, Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, the Rocky theme song, Even Flow by Pearl Jam, I'm Still Standing by Elton John, Come As You Are from Nirvana, Dream On by Aerosmith, Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. My kid has the most, I thought I had eclectic musical tastes. My son very much has eclectic musical taste, and I love it, and he's just diehard Beethoven and Chopin and Bach fan, too. So I take my son to stand-up comedy, and I have taken my daughter to see Adele and repeat showings of Taylor Swift over the years. And I have a sneaking suspicion in the next year I'll be taking her back to see Ms. Swift. The last time we went to one, we were in Atlanta, and I went downstairs to go to the bathroom and from our seats, and there was a older gentleman who had his iPad out and his AirPods in, and he was watching ESPN. And I went up to him and tapped him on the shoulder, and I said, "You are my hero right now." And he says, "I told my wife and my kid that I would bring them as long as I didn't have to listen to the music." I'm not going to do that to my kid. I will sit there and listen to the music. She's actually a talented artist. Nonetheless, all right, I gotta move on because you people in St. Louis need to listen to me. You people in Oklahoma, you need to listen to me. Have I got a story for you? It is an intersection of audiences on this program because I'm now on in Freedom 96.9 in Oklahoma City. And I am on in St. Louis as well. I'm on all over Missouri now. And I have a perfect story for you. This is from Corey DeAngelis, the school choice advocate. A St. Louis area government watchdog group is calling for a formal investigation into the Francis Howell School District after it paid nearly $230,000 to a superintendent who never worked a single day. He was supposed to start work July 1st, but didn't because of unforeseen circumstances. The agreement described the split as mutually agreed upon and barred public comment on personnel matters. This is kind of insane. The district paid him a $229,000 severance package. He never worked a single day. He was supposed to start July 1st. He never started. They hired him, by the way, in March. He was supposed to start July 1st. He never started. He resigned July 31st, having never been to work. They paid him $229,000. And why do I say, Oklahoma, you need to pay attention to this? Because an Oklahoma school district hired him as an assistant superintendent 3 days later. 3 days later. Shawnee Public Schools in Oklahoma. So let's see. Shawnee Public School District. That is in Oklahoma, Oklahoma. It just to me, every time I hear Oklahoma, I feel like I have to do that. Yes, so the Shawnee Public School System has hired this guy as an assistant superintendent. That is in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Now, for those of you not in Oklahoma, and for me, now that I'm there, I guess I need to figure out where all the fine places of Oklahoma that I want to go visit are. Shawnee, Oklahoma is outside Oklahoma City. It is to the east of Oklahoma City off I-40. From Oklahoma City, you can drive I-40 all the way over into Arkansas, and they're just outside is Shawnee, Oklahoma, north of Tecumseh, Oklahoma. And Oklahoma Baptist University is there. It looks like they have a very nice country club there. I see on the side. In any event, nice golf course there. You people have. They have hired this guy to be their assistant school superintendent. Mike Dominguez. This is the announcement. Shawnee Public Schools is pleased to announce the hiring of Dr. Mike Dominguez as the district's new assistant superintendent. His hiring was formally approved during the Shawnee Board of Education meeting on August 4th, 2025. He has 30 years of experience in education, got a master's degree in education administration from West Texas A&M University. He earned his bachelor's degree at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. So you can't really fault the guy for wanting to go home, but this is kind of wild. He was hired in March by the Francis Howell School District in St. Louis, Missouri. His start date was supposed to be July 1st. He never showed up for work. He resigned on July 31st. On August 1st, leaders approved a payout of $229,000. On August 4th, announced his new job. The public school system in this country is a racket. No fault. Listen, I don't know anything about the situation as to why he didn't get hired, but it's just wild that you would hire a guy. No fault to those of you in Oklahoma. Just keep your ears out on this stuff, because he left the St. Louis system to Oklahoma. Now, I don't know that I would want to work in the public school system in St. Louis either. To be fair, St. Louis actually is the #1 crime city in the country. Memphis is number 2. In fact, I was supposed to go play golf with my buddy Leland Vittert. His family lives in Missouri. And we were going to go play golf at a super fancy place outside of St. Louis. And I told him I'm staying in downtown St. Louis. There's a very nice Hyatt, it was the Four Seasons in St. Louis. It's a Four Seasons. It's got to be nice. He's like, do not go outside. I was like, for real? He's like, do not walk around downtown St. Louis. Do not do it. You should better stay at a Holiday Inn Express 30 minutes out of town than stay in St. Louis. And sure enough, I have found out that the St. Louis is just a third world city, apparently, given the crime rate. And those of you in St. Louis have sent me some of the wildest emails about the crime in your city, wishing Donald Trump would do a federal takeover of your city, which he cannot do. And this is the city that hired a man and then paid him $229,000 for not having done a day's work as he left to go to Oklahoma. I don't understand public school systems. This is what happens when you have a monopoly funded by taxpayers. You don't have to be responsible with their tax dollars. Now, to the phones we go. Tom, you're going to be up next. Welcome. How are you?
Eric, how are you?
Great. What's going on?
So I've got a buddy of mine who claims to be very purple, and he sends me this text regarding a 2019 act that the Republicans oppose, I think, in entirety regarding gerrymandering. And it was supposed to be some sort of law that was going to outlaw gerrymandering and have every state have an independent commission and redraw the boxes. Do you know anything about this?
I am actually
about something like that.
Just so you know, Charlie sent me the link to the legislation, and when I saw the title of it, the For the People Act of 2019, I knew exactly what the For the People Act was. The For the People Act is a massive left-wing grift. So yes, you're absolutely right. It would prohibit gerrymandering. It would require an independent commission to draw lines, except in states with only one congressional district. Partisan gerrymandering would go away. But also, it would comply with the provisions of the Voting Rights Act that the Supreme Court just threw out as unconstitutional regarding how you have to count non-white voters. It would add additional racial requirements so that once you created a majority-minority district, you could never undo that majority district ever for any reason under the sun, including everyone packed up and moved out of that district. You wouldn't be allowed to change the district. It set the legal findings to make the District of Columbia a state of the United States. It shook up campaign finance reform and would require that political candidates and parties would have to fund themselves without PACs, without a lot of campaign dollars from individuals. It would step up prohibitions on money into politics that Republicans actually don't think work. It would also get rid of voter ID requirements around the country. Any state that has voter ID would be prohibited. It would allow felons to vote in prison. It would allow 16-year-olds to register to vote. Yeah, way more than just gerrymandering there.
Got it. Okay, so he kind of misled me in terms of this bill and didn't include everything else. Would you be for some sort of a bill if it just was about gerrymandering and it just was able to redraw all districts? Do you think that Democrats would allow something or approve something like that on its own? Or do you think there's no chance of that at all?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the Democrats would never agree to a pure gerrymandering bill. And I'll tell you why. So a pure gerrymandering bill would be every state has a nonpartisan commission. And this is the way that those nonpartisan commissions should work. The majority and the minority parties each pick members to be on the commission so that it's an even number of Democrats and Republicans on the commission. They have to draw the district. They have to ignore partisan data points. They can't look at election numbers. They can't look at voter registration. They can't look at race. All they can do is look at people, and they have to draw the congressional districts based on, and the state legislative districts based on compact sizes, keeping communities of interest together. That's what everyone says they want. 538, Nate Silver's website before he left, did a massive analysis of gerrymandering in the country. And the conclusion, and by the way, Nate Silver's a Democrat. Nate Silver's conclusion is that if you did a pure congressional district drawing by nonpartisan commission that did the standard I just said, ignore partisan affiliations, ignore race, compact communities of interest kept together, the Republicans would have a 50-seat advantage in the House of Representatives.
Wow.
Yeah, because here's why. And by the way, again, this is Nate Silver, not me. The Democrats have so gerrymandered their states, it would break those states up, giving Republican seats. Like, for example, if you use my guidelines for Massachusetts, Republicans would have 1 seat in Congress. Right now, they have none. If you used my guidelines in Illinois, Republicans right now have 3 of 17 seats. Republicans would have about 10 of the 17. No, I'm sorry, Republicans would have 7 of the 17 seats. Democrats would have 10. And so it would actually help Republicans if you did nonpartisan gerrymandering, because Democrats have done it worse than the GOP. So, yeah, I personally support independent commissions for every state, but I'm not going to be the one to disarm first. If Congress wants to do it, I say do it. Now, I got to tell you about Eden Pure. Great question, by the way, Tom. Great question. Yeah, that the law had way more than just gerrymandering. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm, you can get 3 of them. You can save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. You go to EdenPureDeals.com. You put in the discount code ERICK3, ERICK3. Here's what you do. You get the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, and they're small. They're portable. You hold them in your hand. You can plug it into the wall, but you can also use a USB cord and power them. Like I've used my laptop before in a hotel room to power the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. No, I take that back. It wasn't a hotel. It was the rental car. It was the rental car. I got a rental car when I went to see my parents, and someone had hot box in the rental car, and it was gross. I mean, you could smell it before you got there. I got my laptop out, plugged up the Eden Pure Thunderstorm to it because it was a car that didn't have a USB outlet, and that sucker cleaned up that car. You would have never have known someone had smoked in the car. You go to EdenPureDeals.com, and you put in the discount code ERICK3, ERICK3. You get 3 of them. You save $200, and they just work. They eliminate odors. Now, they get rid of bacteria and viruses. They get rid of pollen, dust, but I use it for odor elimination, and I have used it multiple times, and I keep one in my travel bag, and they work.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Old Glory Bank.
153, Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Double trouble in DeKalb County. Got a crash 20 westbound past Panola Road, exit 71, blocking at least one lane. Slowing back to the ball at Stonecrest. And eastbound in the same area, left lane stall 20 east just before Panola Road. Still got a right lane stall on the south side in Union City, 85 south before Flat Shoals Road, exit 66. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Shop back to school deals at Whole Foods Market. Get 32% off select Applegate sliced lunch meats with Prime through August 19th while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Don't be late because you crowdsourced your commute with a navigation app.
This might become a travel advisory. Yeah, they're in two left lanes.
Depend on us.
See some delays if they shut that ramp down.
Make sure you get where you need to be on time.
Jam starting at Langford Parkway getting past Spring Street.
Local and dependable traffic 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We had a lot going on this morning through Henry County.
WSB Triple Team Traffic.
95.5 WSB. How Atlanta gets there.
The summer heat will make that crack in your wall expand. You have foundation problems. Dave Baker here. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions will find and fix your issues with a customized plan. Get your free evaluation at aquaguard.net.
AquaGuard. Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
At Chain Company, we've been engagement ring experts for almost 100 years. We have the largest selection of diamonds and gemstones in stock. You don't have to wait to compare them side by side. Find the one that speaks to you at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
If your air conditioning isn't working well, I want you to call the folks I trust at Ragsdale Heating and Air. This is Scott Slade, and these are great people. Many with the company for 10, 20, even 30 years. And if you need a new system, they're extending their biggest specials of the summer off a new Carrier home comfort system. And that includes Ragsdale's own 15-year parts and labor warranty. Ragsdale has HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and insulation all under one roof, all with a standard of excellence that's earned over 10,000 five-star reviews. Go to ragsdaleair.com or call them. Ragsdale is the name I know you can trust.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union, inviting you to come see us for your auto loan needs. If you're buying a car or refinancing your current auto loan, at Coosa Valley Credit Union, you'll get one of the lowest interest rates in the market, as low as 3.49 APR when you open an account with a direct deposit. Coosa Valley Credit Union is local and nearby in Northwest Georgia. Plus, you'll always speak to a real person when dealing with us. That's what we call kinder banking.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Hello, it is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would love to have you. This is a very short segment because I ran long on the last one. But I do want to reiterate, because I think that progressives tend to have such a high mind of themselves, and they only listen to MSNBC and The View and people who tell them what they want to hear. In the same way that a lot of MAGA people now, they get mad at me for telling the truth. But I just got to tell you, it's the God's honest truth. If we did nonpartisan redistricting across the country, the advantage would be to the GOP because the Democrats actually have gerrymandered far worse than Republicans across the country. And you don't have to believe me, Nate Silver himself found that analysis when he did it for 538 a few years ago.
When the news matters to you.
The FAA says the flight crew was reporting possible smoke in the flight deck.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
Beef prices are going up.
Your 24/7 news source.
They had no ties to a gang, but they were killed by
When
them.
you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Living in the South offers us a lot of things. We get to bop carpenter bees with a badminton racket, and we get to argue which is better, tea or sweet tea. We also get to use our deck 12 months a year, and that is awesome. Dave Baker here for Ben Hill Renovations, my deck guys. You know when is a great time to get a new deck? Now. It's always deck season, and Ben Hill Renovations can turn your old backyard into outdoor living space. Host a party, watch the big game, cook out. It's all possible on your new deck from Ben Hill Renovations, and it's easy. Ben Hill offers free estimates at your home, or you can go to their showroom where you can see and feel the many different options for your new deck. Ben Hill offers a better contractor experience. Every project is built with future county and city code requirements in mind, and all jobs are backed by the Ben Hill Renovations Workmanship Warranty. See them on the web at bhrenovations.com. Ben Hill Renovations, creating raving fans since 1964.
News,
weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's news and talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. It's new information this hour on a fatal hit and run in Marietta. Police tell us the suspect vehicle they're looking for is a 2019 to 2022 Chevrolet Silverado truck. The driver is accused in the death of 36-year-old Terrell Loudermilk of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Officer Chuck McPhillamy with Marietta Police says Loudermilk and the driver of another semi-truck were involved in an accident near South Marietta Parkway.
The truck drivers exited their vehicles, and tragically, one of those drivers was struck and killed by a passing motorist.
Anyone with information is asked to call Marietta Police. 86 degrees in Atlanta. Scattered rain showers will be around through this evening. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. A woman is arrested in Fulton County 18 years after she's accused of brutally killing her girlfriend and then stealing her identity.
A multi-agency investigation into 24-year-old Nicole Alston's death in 2007 led to this week's arrest of her former girlfriend, Angel Thompson. Alston was found dismembered in a burning bag in Troup County. Sandy Springs Police Detective John Nanoff calls Thompson's alleged actions deeply disturbing.
The month after, she's already trying to rent the room. She's already trying to sell the car that they moved down here with.
Officials say Thompson continued to use Alston's identity to receive Social Security and other assistance for years after Alston's death. In Fulton County, Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
A call today for the city of Atlanta to come up with a plan to move out Fulton County inmates held at the city's jail before an agreement ends next November. Community organizer Devin Barrington Ward says they don't want the jail to become a place to move people ahead of the World Cup.
The city jail cannot become a holding pen to sweep up our poor and our homeless for a clearer and cleaner camera shot for the world.
He wants the facility turned into a community center. Ahead of his meeting with Russia's leader, President Trump today holds a virtual call with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly.
Vice President Vance and European allies joined in on the call. Trump and Putin are scheduled to meet this Friday in Alaska. A mother, father, and child were killed when a tree falls on their car during heavy rain and flooding in Tennessee. A spokesperson with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says that the tree, they were killed early this morning when saturated ground caused the large tree to fall in the Chattanooga suburb of East Ridge. It is 2:02. This news sponsored by Brett Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
You gotta take advantage of this. It's Katie Kiley from my good friends at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. They have got for the entire month of August only 0% APR financing for 5 years. Apply easily in a store or at dgeller.com, where you can shop elite bridal designers like Tacori, Verragio, Michael M. and Simon G. And D. Geller's got a huge hand-selected inventory of loose diamonds, plus a curated collection of fine fashion jewelry in Kennesaw and Sandy Springs and online at dgeller.com.
So your garage door won't open. It could be something simple. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. The most common call we get is, help, my garage door is broken. It could be a broken spring or a bent track, but usually it's a malfunctioning opener. Whether you call it an opener or a remote, that little button takes a lot of abuse. When yours breaks, All Four Seasons is your home for the best opener options. When trust matters, trust us. All, the number 4, seasonsgarages.com.
This is the Duke's Country Song. It's a song about Duke's Mayo. Says here it's got twang. That sounds good. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
Hey, business owners, do you have managed IT services where it's somebody else, not a full-time in-house on the payroll guy managing your computers? You should check with Vision Computers for managed IT services. At least get a quote from them. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You could save a lot of money, and your employee productivity could go up. Why? Because instead of creating a ticket every time something breaks, they can talk to a real person. So a lot of studies are out there. Y'all know them. Employees don't like to create IT tickets. They kind of feel dumb when they have to. Instead, they can get on the phone in 15 seconds or less, get the answer to what's going on. It's shockingly low compared to what you're probably paying right now, and it's 15 seconds or less on the phone. It's the biggest no-brainer in business tech support. Vision Computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them Eric sent you. At least talk to them. What do you have to lose? Get a quote from Vision Computers for their managed IT support. Call them at 404-COMPUTE nationwide.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers. Call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
It is 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather in the 24-hour traffic center. Alex Williams.
Got a few showers over on the east side and southeast side of the perimeter, Bill, impacting 285 as well as I-20 right around Candler Road and the I-285 interchange. Speaking of I-20 eastbound into Cobb County, looks like that stall has just cleared from the left lane before Panola Road exit 71. Westbound still slow from the mall at Stonecrest passing Panola Road, and stall has been in the right lane south side in Union City 85 southbound at Flat Shoals Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly to mostly cloudy this afternoon, high 88. Scattered heavy rain showers and thunderstorms for later this evening, lows in the low 70s.
As we check Storm Tracker radar, there are scattered showers around the metro at this hour. 86 in Canton, 84 in Riverdale, 87 in Snellville. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Greetings, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. I hope you got blue skies where you are. Finally, today I do. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, and you get the show notes. You get a discount on the show notes subscription. Get the podcast, the live stream, the social media links to everywhere. Follow me on Instagram as I do some cooking this week. I put up those pictures on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, we got to talk about the rent-a-mobs. Well, how do I want to start this? You know, I do this show off the top of my head without a script. And every once in a while, I was like, I want to talk about a heady topic, and how do I want to begin? Just so I'm playing it straight here. I'm not trying to be the rabbit attack dog here. Let me start it this way. I believe in real truth. Today, a lot of people say, my truth is this, my truth is that, and I don't care what your truth is. I care what the truth is, because there is truth. Now, truth is sometimes hard to grasp. Sometimes it's nuanced, and we don't do nuance well as a people anymore with the rise of the internet. But there has to be knowable truth. And here's why, and this actually is at the end of the day, it's a theological point I want you to understand. In the New Testament, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If he says he is the truth, and who is he? He is God. If he says he is the truth, then the truth is knowable. It's not a coincidence that in Marxist political theory, the truth isn't knowable. I mentioned critical theory earlier. Let me dive into critical theory a little more. Critical theory is Marxist political philosophy. Critical theory, Marxist political philosophy, argues there is no truth, that you have your truth, I have my truth, but there is no knowable, truly agreed upon truth. And the way, since truth is not knowable, reality is shaped based on words. And whoever controls the definition of the word controls reality. Whoever controls reality controls the truth. So the truth is an abstraction. It can be molded and it can be shaped. It's not actually knowable. It's not definite. It's not finite. It's not quantifiable. It's not touchable. It's not something that can be revealed. The truth is just at the long end of the equation. It's a variable that can be changed to suit your needs of power. So this is why, for example, I am opposed. Donald Trump, if you haven't heard, Donald Trump is pressuring Goldman Sachs to fire its chief economist. The chief economist from Goldman Sachs, which is the most prestigious banking institution in Wall Street, insists that the tariffs are going to have a negative effect on the economy. So Donald Trump is demanding Goldman Sachs silence their economist. This is something you expect from Beijing, not from Washington, D.C. This is something the communists do. And so I'm appalled at the behavior of the president, who doesn't want to win on the facts. He's trying to shape reality. He's trying to silence the dissent to shape reality. This is what communists do. And I'm not saying he's a communist. I'm saying this is a tactic communists deploy. And so the president should not, if he's going to win the argument, win it on the truth, not by silencing everyone else. It is akin to you being bullied into believing the sky is green. And if everyone who says the sky is blue is censored and only the people who say the sky is green are allowed to speak, at some point, if not you, your kids certainly begin to believe the sky is green. That color in the sky is actually green, not the color of the grass. Whoever controls words controls reality. Whoever controls reality controls truth. That's Marxist theory. And the way the Marxists deploy it is they silence people. They silence people. What they do, what they intend to do is they censor. So they don't allow people to come on their television shows to tell you the truth. On MSNBC, they allow on the people who say there's no crime problem in D.C. So people who watch MSNBC believe there's no crime problem in Washington because they don't bring on people to actually say, yeah, actually there is a crime problem in Washington, D.C., and something needs to be done about it. They shape the truth. What they do is, what they call it is subverting the dominant paradigm. The way you subvert the dominant paradigm is you silence people who have the moral power in the country, because the people who have the moral power in the country are typically white heterosexual men. And so you have to silence the white heterosexual men to subvert the dominant paradigm, because according to Marxist theory, the people who have the real power are the oppressed. And so the way you elevate the oppressed is to silence the oppressor. And what the Marxists hate is freedom. They hate free speech, because if there is free speech, they can't silence the majority. They hate academic freedom because they can't censor the conservative academic. They hate your freedom because with your freedom, you have the opportunity to protest. And as long as there is someone who can speak up and protest, they don't have the power they want to have. And that is why, for example, I think that when the president, who is a Republican and a populist on the right, tries to silence the chief economist of a private entity, we should all stand up and say this is wrong, because it's what the left does, trying to silence people they disagree with. And those of us on the right should not engage in that tactic, because if we do, we find less people willing to actually speak truth to power in the way it needs to be spoken of. This isn't actually about Trump, though. It's a great current, present example of what's going on. And what the left does to try to shape reality is they try to co-opt institutions that shape standards, and then they try to manufacture images that portray reality that are fake. This is from the New York Post. Several lefty dark money organizations, including George Soros's, contributed more than $20 million to groups funding protests against Donald Trump's crime crackdown in Washington. Free DC, a fiscally sponsored special project of progressive nonprofits, Community Change and Community Change Action, brought 150 demonstrators near the White House Monday to protest Trump's plan to deploy National Guard troops in the district. Do not obey in advance and take up space are among Free DC's guiding principles, and the group urges supporters to go outside at 8 p.m. and bang pots and pans, sing, chant, or make noise for 5 minutes every night of this occupation. Free DC has scheduled multiple events since Monday's anti-Trump protest, including a cop watch training, suggesting further protests are planned amid Trump's effort to make D.C. the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful city anywhere in the world by ramping up law enforcement efforts and removing homeless encampments. George Soros' group is now funded by Alex Soros. Alex Soros is his young son. He's put in charge of his political operation. Alex Soros is one of those good progressives who doesn't think there's a crime problem because Alex Soros lives in a fancy apartment with security at the bottom and never has to touch the masses. And this is why progressives keep losing, because they keep trying to change reality by changing the words. And you can't change the word murder when people are getting gunned down on the streets of Washington, D.C. But it's not just that. Crowdsondemand.com. Crowdsondemand.com. It's a website. Crowds on Demand is your home for impactful advocacy campaigns, demonstrations, PR stunts, crowds for hire, and corporate events. Services available nationwide. Are you looking to create a buzz anywhere in the United States? At Crowds on Demand, we provide our clients with impactful advocacy campaigns and events. We are best known for organizing passionate demonstrations, rallies, flash mobs, corporate PR events, and lighthearted events such as paparazzi, brand ambassadors, and PR stunts. We also have virtual capabilities, including letter writing, social proof, and phone banking campaigns. We can create turnkey advocacy groups complete with qualified, passionate leaders to staff them all on relatively short notice. These services are available across the country at every major U.S. city, every major U.S. metro area, and even most smaller cities as well. We even do campaigns abroad, coordinating with international partners as needed. We provide everything, including the people, the materials, and even the ideas. You can come to us with a specific plan of action, and we can make it happen, or you can approach us with a general idea, and we can help you plan the strategy and execute it. We do protests, rallies, advocacy. We have audiences. We do corporate events. We do fan displays. They brag about being covered in The Atlantic, CNN, News Nation, Fox News Radio. They actually are rent-a-mobs. They try to shape reality and the image of reality by bringing in protests. But see, that's you can't shape the image of a 5-year-old gunned down in Washington, D.C. You can try to dismiss that crime. You can try to say there is no crime. You can try to play the word games of the left. But ultimately, the truth is knowable. The truth is ascertainable. The truth is the truth. You can't hide from it. Your sins will find you out. The truth will be found. It's not just in that regard. It's also the leftists in charge of, for example, the United Nations. Adam Credo has the story. The UN-affiliated watchdog group that recently declared a worst-case scenario of famine in Gaza quietly changed one of its key reporting metrics while doing so, making it easier to formally declare there's a famine in Hamas-controlled territory. The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, IPC, a network of Western governments, the United Nations, and nonprofit groups, determined in a July 29th report the worst-case scenario of famine is currently playing out in the Gaza Strip, claiming that mounting evidence shows that widespread starvation, malnutrition, and disease are driving a rise in hunger-related deaths. Media outlets like the New York Times, NPR, CNN, and ABC relied on the IPC report to claim the Israeli policies led to mass starvation. Unlike previous IPC reports on the humanitarian situation in Gaza, the July report includes a metric known as mid-upper arm circumference. The agency has not historically used to determine whether a famine is taking place. The report also includes a lowered threshold for the proportion of children who must be considered malnourished for the IPC to declare a famine, down to 15% from 30%. Aid workers traditionally conduct detailed height and weight measurements to determine whether a child is suffering from acute malnutrition. MUAC, by contrast, consists only of a child's arm circumference, a measurement that can be done more quickly and is less precise. In the past, the IPC has declared famine after finding 30% of children in an area are suffered from acute malnutrition using their weight and height. In a recent Gaza report, the IPC said it would declare famine if 15% of children were suffering acute malnutrition using their arm circumference. It's a pretty big shift. They're lowering the bar. The progressives in charge are trying to change the words, the standards, and the definitions so they can declare something as reality, so they can declare genocide as reality, and it's a lie. That's what we have to stand against. That's why I think it's important that those of us on the right should call out the president when he tries to censor an economist at a private sector bank. Because let the truth win out. The truth is going to be found out. And if you try to hide the truth, then maybe he's got the truth on his side. Win with the truth, not with censorship. That's what the left does. The left wants to censor. The left wants to silence. We are not the left. Our ways are not their ways. And we have a massive growing movement of people in this country moving to the right because they see the left is trying to co-opt truth and degrade truth. And we should not behave the same way. Our ways are not their ways. And our ways have been winning elections. This crazy idea that we should behave like the left is wrong. We should not be behaving like Beijing. We should not be behaving like the communists. We should behave as if we actually take the truth seriously and stand for it.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. All lanes blocked and reopened heading into Midtown. Hero Pace traffic, 85 southbound below Georgia 400. That crash is now off to the right. All lanes are back open. Over into Cobb County, that stall, is actually still in the left lane, 20 eastbound Panola Road, and trouble westbound in the same area. Westbound delays stretch back to the mall at Stonecrest. Stall cleared on the south side, 85 southbound in Union City at Flat Shoals Road. Traffic brought to you by the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. Hey Teens, Teen Summit hits Duluth September 6th. Live music by Jonah Murray, keynote by Doug Middleton, college panel, free lunch, don't miss it. Register now at preventsuicidega.org. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Hey, I'm Chris Chandler. When you join us Thursday starting at 5 a.m. for Atlanta's Morning News, Park Howard reveals how to go to the movies on the cheap. In Scottsdale, Georgia this week, how the move to eliminate the state income tax is about to shift into high gear. On WSB.
Home improvement projects can be a stressful guessing game. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus, the highest level of communication. The Plus means siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. We'll make you comfortable and keep you informed with every step of your project.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus, siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Y'all, it's Eric. I know some of you are concerned about tariff prices impacting things in your lives, including kitchen remodels. Well, listen to this. You can book an appointment this month with Frugal Kitchens and get the Frugal Price Lock. They will lock you into pre-tariff prices. All you got to do is Google Frugal Kitchens for details, and they're offering 0% financing. You want your kitchen remodeled. You want to add value to your home. You're worried about tariffs. Here's your opportunity. Google Frugal Kitchens. Start that kitchen redesign today.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
At Shane Company, we've been engagement ring experts for almost 100 years. We have the largest selection of diamonds and gemstones in stock. You don't have to wait to compare them side by side. Find the one that speaks to you at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Water bugs, palmetto bugs, creepy, crunchy crawlies, whatever you call them, they're roaches, and you want them gone. Scott Slade here for Breda Pest Management. Many pest companies have stopped treating the inside of homes to save money, but it's the roaches inside you want gone. Breda's got your back. They'll protect the outside and inside of your home. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters, like roaches.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Taking the complicated and making it simple. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. Glad to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I'd be happy to have you. So I don't know if you know this or not, but this is a great moment. You probably know that Jimmy Fallon had on Greg Gutfeld the other night. Greg Gutfeld has a show on Fox News in late night. It was kind of his personal project to see if it could work, and it just exploded, and it gets more eyeballs than Colbert, Fallon, or Kimmel. And Jimmy Fallon on NBC's The Tonight Show had on Greg Gutfeld the other day. We now have the ratings. It's over a 50% increase in audience viewership. Over 50% increase in audience viewership on NBC. And people are kind of blown away by that. It was obviously not a contested, partisan show. It was something that conservatives could also embrace. And people who watch Fallon, because he's the least political of the three broadcast late night ones. And, you know, if CBS is watching this, canceling Stephen Colbert, they really should offer a blank check to Shane Gillis if they want to save late night, because I suspect he could do something with it that Stephen Colbert couldn't. Stephen Colbert engaged in the politics of subtraction. He wanted viewers to know this show was for the left, about the left, and it was therapy for the left. Excluded an entire class of people who might otherwise want to see it. And this is, of course, what so many people at the broadcast networks do, is they exclude people on the right and then complain. And yet you bring Greg Gutfeld on Jimmy Fallon's show and the ratings explode. Give Shane Gillis late night and watch what happens to the ratings. CBS wants to get out of it. They shouldn't. They should just actually do like a comedy program with an actual comedian who people across the aisle support. Now, let me tell you about Hillsdale College. I support them, and you can too, at ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, you can sign up for one of their classes. Right now, one of the great classes they're promoting is their class on the Federalist Papers. Written by Alexander Hamilton and James Madison primarily, it was the propaganda put out by the drafters of the Constitution to support the Constitution and the arguments in favor of our constitutional system. And you learn about the Federalist Papers, you learn just how smart our founders were, how they had such a strong sense of truth and character, and how so many people who say this is constitutional or this is unconstitutional, they don't actually know what they're talking about, and you will. All you got to do at no charge to you is go to ericforhillsdale.com and sign up. There are 40 classes to choose from. If you don't like that one, they got chemistry, math, you name it, ericforhillsdale.com. Sign up now and get a little smarter at no charge with Hillsdale College.
Buying a new car? Need help fixing your current car? What's the safest car for a first-time buyer? The Car Guys have the answer. Join Shelley Winter and automotive expert Kevin Deutsch this and every Saturday at 12 for all your car needs. The Car Guys, presented by Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, Saturdays at noon on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. A gruesome cold case murder is solved in Fulton County. Nearly 18 years after 24-year-old Nicole Alston's body was found burning in a bag in Troup County, an arrest is made. Her former girlfriend, Angel Marie Thompson, is charged with murder and identity theft. Sylvia Alston is the mother of the victim.
She was the life of the party. Like, she was happy.
Investigators say Thompson started using Alston's identity to collect Social Security benefits, food stamps, and Section 8 housing, and this went on for 8 years after her death. Marietta police are looking for the hit-and-run driver who struck and killed a man on I-75 this morning. The suspect vehicle, a 2019 through 2022 Chevy Silverado truck. 36-year-old Terrell Loudermilk of Chattanooga, Tennessee, was involved in an accident with another semi-truck near South Marietta Parkway. He was struck by a passing vehicle after getting out of his truck. Following Friday's shooting at the CDC, Douglasville police remind the public what to do in an active shooter situation. Police Chief Gary Sparks says you should first try to run or hide, but if those don't work,
if he enters your location, you got to be prepared to fight, because he's not coming in there to tell you a story.
He says check with your workplace to make sure they have an active shooter plan in place. The percentage of Americans who belly up to the bar for a drink is at a new low. Just over half of all Americans say they drink alcohol, a record low since Gallup started keeping track back in 1939. It is now 2:32. This news is sponsored by FGA Roofing.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
John Ossoff's never been worried in a grocery store checkout line. Not once. But single moms like Sarah have been. 2 kids, $52,000 a year, tight budget. Just now in Washington, John Ossoff voted to raise Sarah's taxes. If Ossoff got his way, Sarah would be paying $1,470 more. Call Senator Ossoff and ask him, why did you vote to raise our taxes? Paid for by Senate Opportunity Fund.
Hi, I'm Trisha, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where we're all about you. Your style, your budget, your dream engagement ring. Are you looking for a style that's classic, modern, vintage, or something in between? Not sure? At Shane Company, we're here to help. We have so much style under one roof because a friend knows you like options. Drop by or visit us at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier, the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT core body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
At 2:34, Alex Williams is in the traffic center.
Thanks to our traffic troopers down by the airport. They let me know of another trouble spot. After that stall cleared 85 South at Flat Shoals, they just held all lanes again, I think to change a flat tire on a police vehicle, 85 South right at 285. Everything back open there, so the delays coming over from Riverdale Road will improve. Left lane stall still active in the cab, 20 eastbound before Panola Road, exit 71. And starting to see the volume pick up downtown on 75, 85 South, 17th Street down toward I-20. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly to mostly cloudy this afternoon, high 88. Scattered heavy rain showers and thunderstorms for later this evening, lows in the low 70s.
Scattered showers now on Storm Tracker radar, 84 in Villa Rica, 82 in East Point, 84 in Winder. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, y'all, we got to talk about my least favorite topic. It's okay. We got to talk about Social Security. We actually do have to talk about Social Security because the New York Times has a piece about Social Security's 90th birthday. I want to just so you know, I played these clips earlier on MSNBC where Peter Baker of the New York Times, Anand Gerhardis, I mispronounced his last name, used to be at the New York Times, talking about how there's really not a crime problem in Washington, D.C. Now, contrast that with the black reporter Anthony Coley, who lives in Washington, D.C., who said everybody's concerned about it. You should know that there's a charitable fundraising effort underway with several $1,000s raised to challenge Peter Baker of the New York Times to walk through South Washington, D.C., a place Peter Baker has probably never been in his life, though he claims to be from the Washington, D.C. area. Falls Church is not exactly a third world crime hellhole like southern Washington, D.C. But if you watch MSNBC, or frankly, to some degree, you watch CNN or you read the New York Times, you're going to think there's no crime down in Washington, D.C. There's no problem in Washington. You are what you read to a degree, and the New York Times is running a propaganda piece on Social Security. It's turning 90. They say, here are 6 myths about it that won't go away. The concept of retirement, as we know, was born 90 years ago this month. President Franklin Roosevelt signed Social Security into law August 14th, 1935, ushering in the idea of a time of independence from work. At that time, Americans had no meaningful way to plan for an income after work ended. Large-scale pensions and retirement savings programs did not exist. When most people stopped working, they either relied on family or became impoverished. Some wound up in poorhouses, government-run facilities that provided support such as shelter and food, often in exchange for work. Almost every state had them, and they mainly housed old people, says Nancy Altman, a Social Security advocate. It was in the depths of the Great Depression. Roughly half of America's elderly population lived in poverty. In the decades since, Social Security played a key role in providing economic security. So there are myths. 1, Social Security is running out of money. 2, aging boomers are the problem. 3, Social Security helps drive the deficit. 4, the trust fund is nothing but a pile of IOUs. 5, we need to cut benefits now to pay them later. 6, waste, fraud, and abuse abound. Those are the 6 myths the New York Times says about Social Security. There's just a problem. 5 of the 6 myths are actually true. This is from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. The New York Times says it's a myth Social Security is running out of money. The Committee for Responsible Federal Budget says the trust fund is projected to run out of money in 2033 by federal government's estimates. The New York Times acknowledges it's true, but then says Congress can draw on general revenue to keep the program going. The Congressional Budget Office assumes that will happen when the trust fund runs out of money, but the trust fund definitely is going to run out of money. So it's not actually a myth, despite the New York Times saying it is. The New York Times says aging population has always been anticipated, so it's actually a myth that aging boomers are the problem. The Committee for Responsible Federal Budget retorts the fact that lawmakers have known about this problem for over 40 years and done nothing to solve it doesn't make its existence a myth. The New York Times says it's a myth that Social Security helps drive the deficit because the program is self-funded, even though it acknowledges that in several years it will need to draw from general revenues to help keep benefits going. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget notes that Social Security costs have exceeded revenue by $1.4 trillion since 2010, and the shortfall this year is $250 billion. That adds to the deficit, so it's actually true. The trust fund is nothing but a pile of IOUs. The New York Times says that's a myth. The bonds in the trust fund are not backed by any assets. They're not traded on public markets. They're a promise from the federal government. The federal government has made good on those promises so far, but that's all it is, a promise, which in the context of money can be called an IOU. The New York Times says it's a myth that we need to cut benefits now to pay them later. I suppose it could be called a myth to say need, but that's really an opinion question. Cutting benefits now to pay them later is certainly one way to go about fixing the program. As the Committee for Responsible Budget notes, acting sooner will literally reduce the necessary size of the adjustment. The only one of the 6 myths that's actually a myth is the final one. Waste, fraud, and abuse abound. There truly isn't very much fraud in the Social Security program in terms of improper payments. One could say the basic structure of the program itself is a fraud, but that's actually a law. The biggest myth about Social Security that is believed by both parties and needs to be busted is this: politicians can continue to ignore Social Security reform and everything will turn out fine. That's Dominic Pino at National Review, and he's right. So literally the New York Times writes an article, and if you are a reader of the New York Times, you believe it's a myth that Social Security is running out of money, and actually the government's own data shows it's running out of money. If you're a reader of the New York Times, you believe that the aging population of America is not actually a problem, and in fact, the government itself says that all the baby boomers retiring is a strain on the system. If you read the New York Times, you believe Social Security has no impact on the deficit, and actually, every year since 2010, the amount of payouts from Social Security have exceeded the trust fund, and so they've been relying on the general budget to fund it. So yes, it actually is driving the deficit. Just think about this. People who read the New York Times, first of all, this sounds snotty, and I don't mean it to be. Forgive me. But people who subscribe to and read physical newspapers tend to chart at higher IQs. This doesn't really have anything to do with the newspaper per se. It's just people who read tend to be smarter. It's why so many elementary schools are pushing kids to read books. The physical act of reading words on a page expands your brain. People who read newspapers tend to chart as higher IQ. I miss having a physical newspaper. I love physical newspapers. I read the New York Times. I read the Wall Street Journal. I read the Epoch Times. I read the Washington Post. I read the Atlanta Journal-Constitution here in Georgia, and I miss having a physical paper. I hate having to read on a screen. I think my retention is poorer for having read it on a screen than on the paper, and there's a lot of data to say that's the case. I want physical papers. That's why I don't like audiobooks. I have friends who talk about all the books they've read. They have not read a single page. They've just listened to someone talk to them in their car. They probably tuned out half of it. I'm sorry. Listen, this is not a slight. If you love audiobooks, God bless you. It's probably way better to get the audiobook than a lot of the trash that's out there in podcast form. But it's not the same as reading the actual book. And I don't read as much as I used to. You know, law school and then seminary just completely killed my desire to sit down and read for fun. I got a book in my book bag over here against the wall that I've been trying to read. Tom Coyne wrote a book about trying to qualify for the PGA. He's the head of Golfer's Journal. I love Golfer's Journal. I read Golfer's Journal when it comes. I read it cover to cover. It's one of the few things I sit down. I sit on my front porch with a cup of coffee, and I read Golfer's Journal. It's fantastic. It's people who love golf write this magazine. I love it. You should too. Let me know if you want a membership. I can get you one. And I love the printed page. I retain more when I read on a printed page. My kids used to be at a fancy private school that moved everything to tablets. They moved to a school that uses physical books. Their book bags weigh a lot. And the school has insisted that in their experience, the kids who read the books and used the books did better over time than the kids who used the tablets. So, you know, there's actually now a lot of research that shows that, and a number of schools, including some very fancy private schools I know in the Atlanta area that moved to tablets, are moving back to books because it turns out that kids actually read books. And they retain it better. And this is why I miss physical newspapers. And I realize it's an environmental nightmare. You've got these piles of papers. What do you do with them? Well, you use them for litter boxes. You use them for the dogs. You use them for actually, my parents used to use their newspapers, and they'd put them down in the garden for weeds. They decompose over time, but it worked great as mulch. You put actual pine straw or mulch over the newspapers, and they keep the weeds out. I miss having papers. Now, that's really acknowledging this is a tangent from the actual point. But people who read newspapers, people who read books, they tend to have higher IQs. And it has a lot to do with reading words on the page. And as we get away from reading words and instead we're on screens or we're on audiobooks, our attention span wanders and our IQs go down. You know, there are a lot of people, one of the conspiracy theories is the fluoride. Fluoride is lowering people's IQ. That's not it at all. Singapore, for example, has higher fluoride content in its water than we do, and no one's accusing the Singaporeans of going dumb. You know what the Singaporeans do, though? They don't give their kids tablets in schools. They make their kids use physical books in schools. I would say the greater decline in IQ has more to do with getting rid of paper and the printed page. Nonetheless, a total digression from this. If you read the New York Times, you're not actually a dumb person, but you are a seriously misinformed person. Your newspaper is lying to you. The New York Times is lying to its readers, claiming these things are myths. This gets me back to Peter Baker. For those of you who weren't here in the first hour, let me play this again. This is Peter Baker from the New York Times on MSNBC.
You know, military troops in the streets of a capital, the kind of thing you see in other countries, in autocratic countries, but autocratic leaders who are trying to assert control and power. If you really cared about crime in the District of Columbia, where crime is actually down historically, if you actually cared about crime in America, there are cities with worse crime rates than Washington, D.C. He's not sending troops into their streets. He's sending troops into the streets of the nation's capital, which has a special resonance. The idea that troops would be patrolling in any way, a nation's capital sends a message that we've never, seen again in this country outside of, riots and genuine uprisings that we don't see right now. Crime is at a low. As anybody who has grown up in the Washington area, as I did, I was born and raised in the Washington area, spent my whole life there, and it's never. We know what a crime crisis looks like. We've lived through that. This is not what that looks like.
He's cherry-picking the data. 30 years ago in Washington, D.C., when Marion Barry was around, y'all remember Marion Barry? Crack cocaine was a massive epidemic. And the crime related to crack cocaine was through the roof. And it was not safe anywhere in Washington, D.C. And he's cherry picking, saying we're at a low. Yeah, you're at a low from the crack epidemic, but you're more than double the crime rate of 1960 if we want to go all the way back. It's funny, crime escalated in Washington after it was given home rule. And the people could start voting for themselves and voting for their leaders. And over time in Washington, D.C., the black residents started voting more and more overwhelmingly for a city council and mayor who were black. And those Democrats in charge were beholden to white progressives, and they placated the white progressives, and the quality of life began to decline for the residents. I suspect there will be a backlash from the voters in D.C. because the city council in Washington has gone so far now as to prevent the prosecution of anyone under the age of 17. If you're under the age of 17 in Washington, D.C., and you kill someone, you cannot be prosecuted as an adult. But the city council did. They got rid of cash bail. You go and you get charges pressed against you. In jail, you get out of jail. You don't have to pay anything. You walk out. The majority of crimes in Washington are actually done by criminals, by career criminals. It's not done by random people. There are estimated to be about 500 people in Washington, D.C. that if you arrested them, crime would drop dramatically. But the progressives, they won't do it. And the black politicians who are beholden to them, they won't do it. And if you listen to the voices of the New York Times on MSNBC or you read the New York Times, you're told there's no crime problem, which is not what you hear from people who actually live in Washington, D.C. Peter Baker can say, grew up in the Washington area. He can't say Washington, D.C. because he's not from there. These voices, these people, these reporters are lying. If you read the New York Times because you're actually reading a physical newspaper, the data says you're smarter than the average person. You have a higher IQ. But you're also more misinformed, ill-informed than the average person because the average person knows there's a problem in Washington, but you're reading a newspaper that makes a habit of lying to you. 10 banks have had their credit downgraded recently. Now they're going to keep making profits. There's probably going to be a bailout if things get worse. They might be sold to a mega bank. They might be consolidated. My friends at Swiss America have been warning people about a secret war on cash, an all-out assault on freedom. With soaring interest rates squeezing the economy and banks teetering on collapse, Swiss America wants to educate you on ways to help protect your hard-earned assets right now. Get their report, The Secret War on Cash. Your copy is free. All you have to do is call or text 800-289-2646. The all-out war on cash includes digital forms of currency. It's spreading. So read The Secret War on Cash report for free. All you have to do is mention me, Eric Erickson, when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. You text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646 and follow the link, or go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric. SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. Message and data rates, they may apply. Swiss America would love to be able to help you.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
251 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Stall finally cleared in the cab out of the left lane. Everything back open. 20 eastbound approaching Panola Road, exit 71. It is slow into downtown. Brake lights find you on 85 southbound, right around Georgia 400. You stay packed in, getting down past 17th Street. 285 southbound, the inner loop over on the east side, seeing the brake lights leaving I-85 into Clarkston. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Save on protein at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off Organic Rancher. Organic 93% lean ground beef with Prime through August 19th while supplies last. Shop in-store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
I've listened to many arguments, and there are good arguments to say that we shouldn't. I'm just saying.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
This is the only way to do it. Some people are going to lose their job, and then they're going to be put back in the job.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
It's about you. You're being celebrated.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
A great way to add value to your home is to improve and upgrade your kitchen, but you're worried about the cost because of tariffs raising everybody's costs on things like this. Y'all, it's Eric. You can go to Frugal Kitchens. You'll get that $1 million look for well under that price. And right now, if you book an appointment, you'll get the Frugal Price Lock, where they will lock in pre-tariff pricing. Google Frugal Kitchens today. Lock in pre-tariff pricing on your redesign of your kitchen. Google Frugal Kitchens.
Hi, it's Sue from Breadbeckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. Over the past 30 years, we've seen countless lives change for the better and health issues greatly improved, if not completely resolved, by customers changing their diets, starting with real bread. At the Breadbecker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, affordable solution for your family that can change your lives. For various customers, we've seen cholesterol levels drop 85 to 100 points in just 1 month, blood sugar stabilize, anemia corrected, and hundreds of stories of warts going away. In one case, as many as 500 warts gone in just 2.5 weeks. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. Let us help you take the first steps to better health. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Breadbeckers store in Woodstock.
Your friends at Steel Horse Law are motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. They've mastered safely riding our Georgia roads, and they've mastered the unexpected twists and turns of Georgia law. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler for Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group. With all the changes in Georgia law, you need the most experienced local motorcycle injury law firm to protect your rights. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Get a free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're a different kind of wireless company dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Because let's face it, our needs are different. Big wireless unlimited plans are designed for 20-somethings, not us. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on one thing, bringing you affordable, reliable rate plans that suit your needs, not ours. How do we do that? We start by using the same towers as the big guys, the exact same towers. We then create rate plans designed for your usage. The fact is, we can offer you an unlimited plan with the same network quality for less because we understand how you use wireless services. Our plans start at just $20 a month. And forget trying to chat with robots. You'll get 100% US-based award-winning customer service when you need help. Come find out how wireless should be and join the millions who've made the switch.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
All the information without the spin. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
I want to give you the anatomy of a hit job. Keneal Patterson is a breaking news intern at the Daily Beast. She has a story. Veterans beg Ron DeSantis to stop killing them. Ron DeSantis is under fire for turning against his fellow service members and letting executioners slaughter 5 veterans this year alone. The governor, who served in the U.S. Navy as a commissioned officer, has called Florida the most veteran-friendly state of the nation. But during his reign, 9 people have been executed, including 5 veterans. And at the end, all the way at the end, Keneal Patterson highlights just one person. Just one of the people executed, Jeffrey Hutchinson, a 62-year-old veteran with severe mental problems, executed in May for the murders of his girlfriend and her 3 children. His lawyers said he suffered from paranoia, PTSD from the war in Iraq, and health problems. That's the only one she highlights. Hey, curious, isn't it? Curious. She mentions several others, but she doesn't talk about what they did. Let me tell you what they did. Bobby Joe Long was an American serial killer and rapist. During an 8-month period in 1984, abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered 10 women in Tampa Bay and was only executed in 2019. Dwayne Owen was an American murderer who raped and killed Karen Slattery and Georgiana Wardard in Delray Beach and Boca Raton in 1984. Only executed in 2023. He stabbed to death and raped 14-year-old Karen Slattery. He raped and beat to death 38-year-old Georgiana Warder in Boca Raton. Oh, and then there's Eddie James. Eddie James, who she refers to as Edward James, by the way, was an American murderer featured on America's Most Wanted. It led to his capture and conviction in 1993 for the murders of an 8-year-old and her grandmother. He sat on death row for over 30 years and was finally executed a couple of months ago. And this is a hit job by the Daily Beast, attacking Ron DeSantis for overseeing the executions of murderers who've sat on death row, some of them 30 years. And this is the attack, claiming that he's killing veterans as opposed to he's executing murderers, one of whom was a serial killer. And this Keneal Patterson of the Daily Beast never mentioned that fact conveniently.
When the news matters to you.
The massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The latest incident comes when a SWAT team is called after a suspect.
Your 24/7 news
They
source.
had no ties to a gang.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station. WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
According to a study from LendingTree, we across Georgia spend about 8 cents of every dollar we make on groceries. And there are a lot of states where people spend more than that. I believe the reason why is we are so lucky in Metro Atlanta to have intense competition of where we spend our grocery dollars. That we have so many more choices than people do in most places. We have all 3 warehouse club chains. We have both Aldi and Lidl in Metro Atlanta, and our largest seller of groceries across Metro Atlanta, Walmart, which is also the nation's largest grocer. And you can see the pressure, Kroger having to close some locations across Metro Atlanta because they haven't been able to keep up with the competition. So if you are unhappy with what you're spending on groceries, shop around as best you can. I'm Clark Howard.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. Police may be closer to catching a motorist involved in a deadly morning hit and run in Marietta. WSB's Steve Summers reports live now with new information this afternoon.
Yeah, Bill, police now say the hit and run driver was likely in a 2019 to 2022 Chevrolet Silverado truck. They know this because of debris found at the scene, I-75 North near North Marietta Parkway. Chuck McPhillamy with Marietta PD says investigators want to arrest this driver badly.
The driver of the pedestrian vehicle that struck the truck driver did not stop nor render aid.
The trucker who was killed, now identified as 36-year-old Terrell Loudermilk of Chattanooga. He and another trucker had stopped after colliding with one another about 2:30 this morning. The other trucker was not hurt. Reporting live, Steve Summers, 95.5 WSB.
85 degrees in Atlanta with scattered showers and storms moving through Metro Atlanta again this afternoon. How long will they be with us? Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. 18 years after a brutal crime, a woman accused of killing her girlfriend and stealing her identity is now behind bars in Fulton County.
The Fulton County DA's office says Angel Thompson allegedly killed 24-year-old Nicole Alston in 2007. Alston was found dismembered in a black burning bag in Troup County. A long trail of evidence from identity theft and sex trafficking led authorities to Thompson. Even with the arrest, Alston's mom, Sylvia, says the pain is still very real.
She didn't deserve this. And I wish I never let her come to Georgia.
Officials hope the public will come forward with more info in the case. In Fulton County, Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Happening now, the search for a gunman after a man is shot at a busy MARTA station this afternoon. It happened at the bus loop at the Hamilton E. Holmes MARTA station when 2 men got into a fight. The victim is now at the hospital. MARTA and Atlanta police are searching for the suspect. A call today for the city of Atlanta to move ahead with a plan to remove Fulton County inmates from the city's jail.
In 2022, the city signed an agreement with the county to give them access to 700 beds at the Atlanta City Detention Center to reduce overcrowding at the Rice Street Jail. With that agreement expiring next November, community organizer Devin Barrington Ward is calling for the city to start planning to move inmates out.
A $2 billion jail will not cure addiction, house families,
or prevent death in custody. Housing, treatment, stabilization, and work opportunities are the only way that will.
They're calling for the facility to be turned into a community center. In Atlanta, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
President Trump says his call with Ukrainian President Zelensky today was a 10. The virtual call comes ahead of Trump's summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss ending the war in Ukraine. President Trump is asked about the possibility of another meeting.
If the second meeting takes place. Now, there may be no second meeting because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Trump and Putin are scheduled to meet Friday in Alaska. It is now 3:03. The Von Hessler Doctrine begins in less than 2 minutes. Right now, live team coverage of traffic and weather in the 24-hour traffic center. It's Alex Williams.
Picked up a new crash where it had been raining earlier. 20 eastbound before Candler